We're going to begin with prayer, and before we do, I want to say that Alderman Herbie Rogers would be with us. His sister is gravely ill, and they've called the family in. And so he is there, but he is he'll step outside the room, and he is going to participate with us. So let's remember Herbie and his family as they go through this trying time in their life. So first, let us pray, and then we're going to pray for Herbie and those, and then we'll close with the Lord's Prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings that you've given us. We thank you for living in this wonderful city. Father, we thank you for our state. We thank you for our nation, and pray your blessings upon them and us to thy service. Father, we ask that you remember our colleague and friend Herbie, and Father, his sister and family, that your arms may be around them in this time of great need and sadness, but also joy, Father, for we know that it is in dying that we are born into eternal life. Now, Father, we would ask the perfect prayer that you prayed. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
Amen. Let us do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are honored to have such civic participation today. I think it is a wonderful thing for democracy when we have people that care enough to come and to participate and to let their voices be known in our government. I will say that we would love, and I think, Daniel, we need an ordinance drafted that would provide that in special circumstance we could have another, like the civic, we could have a meeting in those facilities where we could in times of need have that. Now that's not the case now, so we had to do it here, I was advised. So, but the good thing is we have our friends over in the courtroom. I've been to the courtroom. There's a good number over there, and they're great, good old water balance and friends. So, and we're fortunate to have our folks that have come to be with us. We've got a lot of work to do. You know, we'll accomplish a lot more as a city if we work together than if we do not. You know, the Benjamin Franklin's adage, we must all hang together, or most assuredly we'll all hang separately, remains just as true today as it did when it was said. So let us bear that in mind, and we have a good deal of work to do. So I would ask that the agenda be adopted. Is there a motion so to do?
Mayor, if it please, I believe that Mr. Edwards' zoning hearing needs to be added to the agenda, sir.
And I believe that would be at 7, or what time do we have that?
If you would, excuse me, I'll look that up real quick.
Matter of fact, if it's not stated, we could go ahead and do that now. you got the advertisement, I'll call it to order.
That was set for 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, I thought that's the time that's normally. So what we'll do is proceed, and then at 7 o'clock, or thereabout as practical, as soon as practical, we will have that brief zoning hearing, and then we'll move from there. All right, is there a motion that the agenda be adopted with the addition of the hearing that we've scheduled? There is such a motion. Is there a second? All in favor will say aye. Aye. All opposed? First, we would have Mr. Joe Black, CPA, to be with us, and Joe Black is no stranger to Water Valley, and he, you know, when the call came in the Vietnam War, he answered the call, and he's did his time.
Well, they twist them arm.
Well, a little bit, but you, I think you had a good time there. But at any rate, not really.
No.
But at any rate, Joe is with us, and Joe is the one that prepared budgets under the two people that I may be stepping out of school, but that I really admired and respected, Hamrick Henry and Garland Mayer.
Yeah.
Now, they might not have agreed on every part, but I agreed that I really liked and admired both of them. And they brought out different things, but they brought out good things, and they're all dedicated to the benefit of the town. He prepared the budgets under him, and he's prepared budgets for other cities. Never had an audit exception, and he's familiar with 139 pages, more than a Pharisee of the Pharisees, on the and of the report of the state audit requirement. And he has agreed to share his wisdom with us, and he and Miss Vivian here have worked up a draft, and I'm glad to. I have just reviewed it, and it seems to address the needs that we have. But I would like, and you know what? It works. It works for us all. But at any rate, Joe, would you please share and go over everything and tell us?
Well, my main part, I gave Vivian technical assistance, and we had some issues. For instance, we had a declared disaster during this fiscal year. All those costs get recorded into the current accounting system, and going forward, making projections off of that for the upcoming budget, we had to remove all those costs before we could make those projections. There was also a pay raise that was in the works. We managed to preserve that for the employees.
How much an hour?
$2, I think.
And all the employees receive it.
Yeah, I have some suggestions about that. So those are my budget suggestions. But anyway, and then we had some unrecorded revenues relating to various items that we made sure we got recorded, and that all the projections were reasonably accurate. I would like to remind everybody, budgets are not chiseled in stone. They can be modified at any board meeting. You can modify a budget. So keep that in mind as you look at this budget. It takes you from a projected cash balance at September 30th this year of $401,000 plus or minus a few dollars to let me put my eyes on. Let me just give you the exact number. $401,730 projected cash balance to an ending balance next year of $511,673. Now, will that happen? We don't know. A lot of that depends on tags and fines and forfeits, things that vary up and down. A lot of it, property taxes. We have a good bit of new construction. New construction is generally exempt from these calculations, that kind of stuff. But my main function was to assist Vivian she had all the basic numbers done. I gave her some technical advice on what to include and exclude. And I think we've got a budget that's solid and it protects the employees. That's what we wanted to do. We certainly wanted to try to preserve that pay raise since they hadn't had one in 2 years, 3
Well,
years,
it's going on 3 years.
long time. So we were able to preserve that. So I'm gonna leave that with you. We backed out all the costs we could identify with the disaster, the ice storm. That normally what you do on a budget, you look at your supplies and those kinds of things, repairs and all that sort of stuff. And you add an inflation adjustment, you make a projection going forward. But those costs included all of those disaster costs. So we backed all those out, made the projections going forward. Worked out pretty good. We got it where it's a reasonable budget, I think. So, that's the extent of my participation in this, and I was happy to do it because I don't live in Water Valley, but I work here. And I wanted to make sure that everything goes forward as smoothly as possible. And this is pro bono for me, so don't throw rocks at me. I'm not getting paid.
Well, we appreciate that, and we've gotten, as far as the disaster, we've had real good success with.
You've got a large sum of money that's due you that we haven't counted this, that's
Right.
coming forward.
I've got a report from ER Assist that talks about that. Now, there is one need that we've got. We've got a legislative cap, and we have met that cap. What we need, and we need the Utility Commission to get their own unique identification number forthwith, so that they will not be, we need that legislative 0% interest on, and we've gotten that for one segment, but we need for both. We need it for all. It's all one city, but in this instance, we can utilize that, but ER Assist told me that and that's a simple thing. Unique identification number, you can get that just like that. And then, but I think it is important, the legislature appropriated $125 million for the ice storm relief and they allow 0% interest, and we have been blessed with the maximum our one part of the city can get, but we need the other part of the city. It's all the city. The Bible says the heart different from the leg, it's all together. So, but the unique identification number, if that could be done, then that would help us, Joe. But even so, though, there's with the status now, there's just ER Assist has furnished a report, and it's good for the utility as well as.
Yeah, you got a significant sum of money coming forward. That'll probably land over in October sometime. You may get it before then, but I don't think so.
Well, we've got 1.2 million, and I know it's different consideration there, but 1.2 million that will land within the next 3 weeks by wire transfer from Gilda Reyes, and Gilda's told you not to call her anymore.
She did.
She got on Vivian. Vivian
Said,
been
"I've
calling her
already told
every other day, and the legislative bill says for the electric department, the city of Water Valley for the electric. I put in for that, and our delegation, others helped, and it's, but now this is $6 million. That's a pretty good little chunk now. But at any rate, total. But thing about it, that'll be hitting, and that'll help them, do some things. So, but we'll go ahead and.
Well, that's all really I have to say. Vivian did all the basic leg work. I gave her some technical assistance. I think you've got a good budget. Understanding that it can be modified, adjusted, raised, lowered.
Let me
all
say
that
this,
sort of stuff.
our books have been audited, and Vivian, to my knowledge, there were no exceptions to the audit report. And, I mean, we're up to date, but we've got the one that's due now, but you get on them every day to get it in.
He's been working on it every
And
day.
he's supposed to get it in. And so, we don't have any audit exceptions, and I don't believe Joe, you didn't see anything? Nobody, no hokey pokey or somebody stealing or anything?
No, well, I wasn't looking for that. I wasn't looking for that.
I
No,
Don't even worry about that.
we were able to pull the numbers fairly rapidly and easily without much trouble.
Well, I think that's, the only way this city could fail is if we form a circular firing squad and shoot each other. And we're capable of that, but at any rate, hopefully we won't. But questions of Joe?
I would just comment that when we're speaking, we would speak maybe louder than we normally tend
Sorry.
to due to the audience that we have at the courthouse.
Can they hear?
They can, I just want to be
Okay.
Make sure.
cognizant of their.
We've got a good number over there. And like I say, Dan, if you could draft that ordinance.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Any question? Any of our friends over in the courthouse? Questions?
So I do have some questions with,
Go ahead.
with this. There are some added line items like sanitation that we know are not with the city.
They are with the city.
Tell them about that.
Ask
Yeah.
your board attorney, he'll tell you.
Well, that's the, basically, any revenues coming in to the city are categorized as, what's the accounting term?
Well, they're enterprise.
That's the exact.
What is the
and
book,
so
what does the
we-
audit book say on
Well,
that?
that's what I was getting to. There's
Well-
a state audit book that provides that we have to provide for our enterprise funds that we're receiving from them. And that would be what we're going to talk to the commission about, of what they can project for us to expect to receive through those enterprise funds.
There are only basically one class of accounts that the city controls that are exempt from the budgeting process. And those are the clearing account, what we call clearing accounts. And they're federal withholding, FICA, insurance withheld from employees' paychecks, those types of things that are simply in and out accounts. And there's the payroll clearing account. Those are specifically exempt from the budget process.
Okay.
But everything else that the city touches goes through a budget
When
somewhere.
you got that book, what's the statute on that?
It's 21, 35, 1 through 29, somewhere along there.
We may need to change where you stand. Maybe if you stood over in this corner, close to everything
I'm
we have
almost
set up.
through standing.
I appreciate that, but I guess for future speakers, they say they can hear me fine. It's just the people at the end of the table.
All right, any
I-
other questions?
I do have another question. So last year, our amount to be raised by tax levy was $1,046,136. This year, or this projected amount to be raised by tax levy is $1,829,916. Does this anticipate any tax raises that have not yet been approved by the board?
What do you mean tax raises?
Millage increase.
Yeah, millage increase.
No, it's based on existing millage today.
Excuse me for.
Oh, no.
And you might say how you arrived at,
Well, it's that, a 1 mil is 1/100th of a cent, I guess, or whatever. 40 mil, you're at 40, what?
43.5.
43.5, which is 4.35.
Wasn't the county projecting this to bring in less tax revenue? So how could the number go up?
It's based on the assessment. It's just purely based on the millage or the property assessment within the city limits times the millage rate. Now, there's some things in the assessment that change, like, for instance, new property or previously exempt property that's no longer exempt, or tax property today that becomes exempt, for instance, if a church buys a lot or something like that. So it changes, those things float up and down, plus you have included in that tax assessment or in those tax dollars are your vehicle tax. And you buy a new car, you
So
keep
you
your old
included,
car.
you included the vehicle tax.
Yeah, it's all in the
And you included the utility property, I guess.
It's all in the assessments there.
I
And,
guess my confusion is from when the tax assessor came and spoke with us, he was projecting $1 million less in assessed value taxes coming in. So,
That's up to him. It's whatever number he provides.
so are we going off the county assessor's number then? When we
That,
put
that,
the,
what-
yeah, that's property tax, that's real estate property taxes is what he.
Well, no, it's real,
Yeah.
personal, automobile.
I know, but that you included everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
So as we're standing now, this budget looks a lot less scary than last week's budget.
Well, there wasn't a budget last week. It was a work in progress, and we, I helped Vivian, we cleaned that up and got some things in there that should have been in there, got some things out that should have been taken out, like projections around the expenses related to the ice storm as an example. That's basically it. It was not a hard process. It's just, you got to sit down and think it through and make sure you're picking up all revenues and you're picking up all expenses. And you're not overcounting or undercounting.
Well, Mr. Joe, thank you so much
You're welcome.
for your
Glad
volunteer.
to do it.
Are you still willing to help us throughout this process?
Well, if you guys vote tonight, the process will be over.
You won't have to give a notice because you're not raising taxes or fees. And it does have a file lot in there that is reduced from what it was. The pile lot is reduced from the year before, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
What is the pile lot under this? It was reduced a good bit.
It's about 22, 122.
You
That's
reduced
what
that.
it was reduced to, but I don't know if I want to say.
Well, and that, one thing that the budget will depend on is your agreement with the Water Valley Utilities, what the monthly payment will be there.
Yeah, that'll have to be made.
Like I say, these budgets are not chiseled in stone. They move around. And the main thing that I'm always, is that back when I audited city governments, the main thing that I was concerned about, did you violate the budget? Did you overspend? You almost always will undercollect. Rarely you will overcollect. But the real danger you have is overspending your budget, because any expenditure made outside the budget is unauthorized. And the consequences of that can be severe.
And I will say this, in an ordinary criminal prosecution, intent, you've got to show intent to commit a crime. One of these violations,
It just
you
happened.
just happened and you're guilty.
Yeah, right. So that's the main thing is, and as you go throughout the year, you monitor where you are in relation to your budget and make adjustments.
Now, yeah, we do have some additional property, I think, Mr. Neighbors and other things that's going to come on, but you did not count any of that.
I expect your sales tax collections as what in there is referred to as shared revenues. I expect to see a significant boost in monthly sales tax collections because of that one business. Now, it's not reflected there because we can't be exactly sure yet. But if Mr. Neighbors, if his sales tax remittance to the state of Mississippi is $50,000 a month, which it very easily could be, you're going to get back 1/5 of that.
That was increased.
That will be an increase to the city. So, you know, like I say, these things aren't chiseled in stone, they move around. And you just have to keep your eye on it and make adjustments as required. But this budget works right now.
Well, you've got the overage so that if you were too liberal on certain things,
Well,
you got 500,000 to
yeah.
make it up.
We in the budget process, we're looking at cash in the bank. Basically, it's a cash receipts, cash disbursements type of operation. We don't want to project to approve a budget and put it on paper that shows us going negative on our cash. We don't want to do that. We got to keep that positive. So that's what this budget essentially is doing. That it's keeping it relatively a slight increase, but it's also giving pay raises to employees and some other things that need to be done. That
Well,
is really needed.
I wish we could have a capital budget that, you know, I see our street department people, I see 5 and 6 of them in the back of a pickup truck, and
Yeah.
if they would be struck, that would be per se, that's illegal. And that'd be $500,000 per person. So I think we need to be on guard for, and more important, you know, human life. So we do need, but you cover the basics with this, you say.
Right, absolutely. Vivian's done an excellent job getting it all together, and this was scratches on a piece of paper this morning about 8:30.
Well, I've seen you do it for towns before with my own eyes.
Yeah. But, you know, like I say, it's up to the board, and you can add to or take away, whatever you want to do, just keep it positive, don't make it go negative.
How much are the raises? Do you know how much they cost you?
Well, I don't know by department, I think Vivian can tell you better about that. It's
It's
like
not
$2 an hour, basically, is what it is. Across the board, I would never, that's not much.
All right, that's all right. That's all
Thank
right.
you. We'll take this under advisement.
All right, thank you.
Future workshops.
I'm
Before-
going, I'm about to leave you, so I'm going
The
home.
lady's got a question.
I
Okay.
don't have a question. I was just
Okay.
telling him thank you, and I was saying before we move on, I have something I wanted to say. So you go ahead
All
and
right,
finish.
thank you, thank y'all.
Thank you.
While we're talking about budget, I just want to make things known, something known. I wrote it out to make sure that I didn't forget anything. So please let me know if you can't hear me. I'm a teacher, so I figure I talk pretty loud. I want to be very clear tonight. The Board of Aldermen did not vote to cut the police department budget by 35% or any other amount. No action was taken. Nicole Folsom, Grant Thompson, Demetrius Ingram, and Joe Magnuson did not attend the budget gathering, which was called the night before because we had not been provided the departmental budgets, all financial documents needed, or other information necessary to discuss and prepare a written proposed budget. Nothing had been presented to us before that gathering that discussed a proposed 35% cut to the police department. We believe a fair question needs to be answered. Who told the police chief that the board intended to slash the police department budget more than 35%? And what official board action or written budget document was that statement based on? We want the public to understand the difference between something being discussed at a gathering and something actually being decided by this board. We did not approve a 35% cut to the police department budget. We value each and every worker of this city. Making cuts and layoffs is the very last thing we want to do. Each department is critical to our city, and once again, it's already been said, but I iterate, we are all on the same team working to make Water Valley better. The board is tasked with making decisions about the budget. However, we cannot do this without the state required documents that show us the facts, not presumptions. We are optimistic in the progress, that has been made in the city, and we plan to make positive, ethical, and legal decisions to continue to move Water Valley in the right direction. So I just want that to be clear and said before we move on.
And let me say that and Vivian got notice of it out to folks. And what you do in a normal budget process is have meetings where you ask questions. There's nothing handed out in Hammurabi's code. It's nothing chiseled in stone, but you work together to get whatever information you desire. And then you act on that basis of that information. So now, we do have an open meetings law in this state enforced by the Ethics Commission. And I would say there's a scripture in the Bible wherever two or more, you don't like my Bible verses, but wherever two or more are gathered together, there's an open meetings violation if you're discussing city business. So budgets are best handled in the budget and the mayor room. And I agree with the alderwoman that, and at this very table, if she'll remember, we had a common purpose during the ice storm. She would carry plates to the manor one night, and I carried them to the other.
Certainly did.
And
Many days.
so many nights. And so I want to reach out and say that rancor and bitterness and all that has to go.
Nobody did.
And, well, I mean, if anybody is, and we need to join forces and work together. As I say again, the only way this wonderful city will not succeed is if we turn on each other and consume each other. You know, we have the power to hurt each other, but we also have the power to help all our people. And so
We're a
that's
team,
what
and we should act that
we
way.
should be, and I concur with that 100%. Now, we have different roles, but I have to, by law, in the executive branch, and that means you have to cover a lot of grounds and know something about everything, try to. But you've got to act within what the legislative branch has done. So it's got to work together. So let's hope we can do that from now on.
And there's one more thing that I'd like to add to Nicole's statement. We are sitting on the top of a mountain of liability, on top of another mountain of huge change in this city. That's why we're asking for the documents. Hey, we trust everybody that's doing these numbers, but we want to make sure, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are going to be liable for that.
Yeah.
And then when we have meetings, or we to start discussing something that all the facts are not there yet, it incites fear. That leads to fear. That leads to fear, and then before you know it, everybody in town is against each other, based on what? So that's what we're asking for. Look, we agree with these. We trust them. Just we trust what you're saying. Just show us.
Well,
Just show us.
I think if we, one thing, you know, when you study and delve into things, that I'm used to a budget process where every agency comes in and testifies as to what they need.
And that's what we want.
And then at the end of the day, and we've done that in large part, at the end of the day, then you you look at what's done in the past and you make your budget. So I think we've addressed that issue. Now, let's move on to ER Assist has been, let me talk about that just a little.
Mayor, if I may, it's 7 o'clock, and I'm sure Mr. Jacob.
Well, let's do it. I am declaring by law, we are having, give me the official notice so we can read it.
Oh, well.
You read it.
Yes, sir.
Quickly.
I'll do my best.
We're now in official hearing, Jacob.
Please take notice that at 7 o'clock p.m. on August 18th, 2026 at City Hall for the City of Water Valley, Mississippi, the Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley, Mississippi will conduct a public hearing to take up for consideration, discussion, and vote the amendment of the zoning of the following property. This property is a fraction of the northeast quarter of Section 8, Township 11 South, Range 4 West, Yalobusha County, Mississippi. This property contains 2.498 acres, more or less, and is described in more detail as follows, beginning an existing half-inch iron pin in the center of a creek being located 1,222.86 feet west of and 824.53 feet south of an existing half-inch iron pin, being accepted as the northeast corner of said Section 8. Run thence south 67 degrees 36 minutes 00 seconds east, leaving said creek a distance of 80.38 feet to an existing half-inch iron pin. Then south 27 degrees 47 minutes 30 seconds west, a distance of 205.74 feet to an existing half-inch iron pin. Then south 07 degrees 26 minutes 09 seconds west, a distance of 256.69 feet to an existing half-inch axle. Then north 66 degrees 05 minutes 47 seconds west, a distance of 452.85 feet to a point in the center of a creek. Then north 60 degrees 03 minutes 15 seconds east along the center of said creek, a distance of 327.29 feet to a point. Then north 57 degrees east along the center of said creek, a distance of 220.88 feet to the point of beginning. All bearings are determined by solar observation. The subject property is assigned Yalobusha County 2nd Judicial District Tax Parcel ID number 0503L08001000. The above property is currently zoned R1 Single Family Residential. It is proposed that this property be rezoned C1 Highway Commercial. All those parties in interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard.
And this is your opportunity. This, and you ought to sign up for dramatic reading. Look, is there any comment, or does anyone come forward on this? Anyone come forward to contest this request? 3 times. Anyone come forward? Anyone come forward? Anyone come forward? I'm gonna rule that there's no objection interposed to this. And Vivian, you've not received any written
Yes, sir.
objection.
And for the record, I don't see any raised hands in the crowd at the courthouse.
Is there a motion and second that the proposed zoning change be allowed?
So just for the record, this is the property that the planning commission brought before us with their official recommendation, and have the signs been, or
Yes, sir. An affidavit has been
And it
filed
was
pursuant to the...
unanimously.
right? I make the motion.
I'll second it.
All right, as many as favor will say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Herbie, you're, Herbie, we hope things are working for you, Herbie. Next, ER, he's holding firm. Next, ER Assist, ER Assist told me everything's good, and we've got the best, I think, in the business of, if I could explain to you, we picked Looks Great Services. If you'll remember, the old board authorized part of the 1.5 million we got in 24, about 400,000 to clear off the 41 miles of right-of-way before the ice storm. We got that finished, and that was a blessing. Everyone will agree on that. Well, we used Looks Great, and then we used ER Assist, and they were a great team. And so ER Assist has been assisting the city with the disaster recovery, both street, fire, whatever, all the city, including the utility. They've worked so well that we've gotten to the cap in legislative funding. The legislature passed a bill to have a 0% interest, 125 million, and we got to the cap. But if the utility commission would get in their unique identification number, all they need to do is just get in a unique identification number, ER Assist tells me, and then we can get another bite at the legislative funds. So I say get the bite and get that unique identification number done. And but at any rate, they're making real progress. They have gotten, with the city, they have done wonderful work, and Electric Commission, they've got 6 six chunks approved, obligated by FEMA, and they've got others, everything is, and they've given me an update. They've got on the lights, there's a lot of lights, but they said there's 20 lights remaining, all data turned into FEMA, so that's good, and FEMA's looking at that. The big stuff has been turned in. PDMG, that was completed on 8/14, all of that. So a lot, MEMA has, in other words, it's really good. And the city part is really good. So I don't know how. I think that the legislature's role in that 125 million is just outstanding. I wish it'd been like 175, but 125 is a great help. And so this way we can get that. But we're making real progress on that. And there again, I would say this. Any work, Vivian, I need to, any work that was done by, like those plates, Nicole, that we delivered, and Vivian, you know what you did, you know, and Alderman, your time, all this can count toward the 12.5 match that the city has. You know, Fountain Square usage can count, and it's online. It is online, so.
I do have a question with that.
Go ahead.
Because I know that there's pretty steep legal implications for, through FEMA as well. If the city and the commission claims the same thing.
They can't do that.
That's what I'm asking. Okay.
No.
Then have we coordinated with the commission to see what they're going to claim?
The commission.
So we can avoid any type of discrepancy.
ER Assist is working.
Okay.
Is doing that.
So they're watching that.
ER Assist is watching it every moment.
Okay.
And they're on it. And Vivian, how many times have they come to see you?
Quite a few.
Quite a few, and I know they've come to the utility
Yeah,
commission.
and Vivian has kindly given me reports.
They've done that, and they've been.
I just want to make sure that
They've been great there. So now I would say that I'm thrilled at the progress that they've made. Of course, we do need to get those forms in on the 12.5%. I think we can be okay, but still, thinking and doing is two different things. And they tell me we should be okay, but I'm on that donated time. It's still, a lot of people did things that really don't want to turn it in, and I understand that. I do, but anyway. All right. Next, we've got Wood Street.
Mr. Carter, who's over at the courthouse, had a house, 414 Wood Street, that he was requesting the board's permission to send demand letters in regards to the cleanup that's required. I think at that level, it just needs to be the grass cut, but I believe neighbors can testify that it hasn't been cut in quite some time.
Junk vehicle there, trash all in the yard.
So Mr. Carter would like the board's permission to send them that required notice, and I don't believe it's we don't have to have a hearing because he's just talking about cutting the grass at this time.
You are. Now, if it comes to more than that, of course, we will and
That's right.
should. And you've got good developments on another problem area too.
Yes, sir. But
In his new position, does he need board approval?
under the
Yes.
2719, whatever it is.
Now, I went to the
27-19-11, I think.
legal seminar, the board attorney's legal seminar, at the municipal thing. And, he can observe it, the plain view, he can observe and make enough conclusions from that.
Well, once y'all have and we'll, I think it'd be just prudent for you to, if nothing else, speak to them briefly. So if you wouldn't mind, walk up to the podium and just tell
Very-
them that
very
what I
briefly.
said is correct. He's coming this way.
Okay.
And the statute provides that once he makes that determination, y'all approve it, he can approve the demand letters, and then if they don't do the action, he'll have the grass cut, and then within a 6-month to a year period, if they re-violate, he doesn't have to come back here, he just has to repost notice. Let me take you off mute. What in the world is this?
All right, Will, could you hear what was said?
Ask anybody.
No.
All right, Will, there you go.
Will, could you hear what was said?
Bits and pieces of it I did.
Do you agree that it would be your opinion to the, oh, we have a little echo, that's great. Your report to the Board of Aldermen that 414 Wood Street is in need of cleanup and grass cutting,
On your personal observation?
Yeah.
your personal observations?
Yeah.
And that is your request to the board tonight?
Yeah.
Is there a motion that this be done and allowed? Motion, is there a second? Any discussion? As many as support the motion, say, will raise their hands. Or say aye.
Aye.
Herbie? Well, he may be in the system. Okay.
Unanimous.
No, none opposed? No opposition? Good. All right, that's done. All right, now, Jason?
Yes, sir.
You want to talk to us on this
Just-
matter?
First off, to see what progress we've got on these little toy scooter ordinance around town. I know it was discussed to ban them on Main Street and Blackmore, but we're getting more complaints, or as many complaints on the side streets and other major side streets as we are on those two. Just seeing where we are, and it can table for discussion, so I would like us to discuss it and see what we can come up with.
All right, the floor is y'all's, and I'll recognize those seeking recognition.
Have we updated, so we updated, or you have to forgive me with all the chaos, that's been the last thing on my mind. When we decided, hey, we're gonna, or didn't we decide, hey, we're gonna require helmets inside streets? So we have not made a decision yet.
Been no ordinance adopted.
He's coming closer, so they can hear him over there.
To my knowledge, we have discussed it and tabled it for further discussion, but we have not made any decisions. There was
Not
talk
made
of
a
helmets.
Formal board decision.
There was talk of Main Street, there was talk of Blackmore Drive, but as far as a actual decision being made, something reduced to writing that we can act on, it has not been done. We've discussed 3 or 4 times, but we've not acted.
Yeah.
So I'm asking tonight, can we discuss some more or act? One or the other.
Do we have a draft ordinance?
No, sir.
No.
Well, he drafted one.
I drafted one.
Yeah,
I don't have it with me
yeah,
tonight.
and that was the one that completely banned scooters and fireworks.
Well, the scooter ordinance, let's just stay at one, please, for just a
Sure,
moment.
yeah.
Scooter ordinance banned the toy scooters on public streets and sidewalks. Any public road and any public sidewalk. That's the only place that banned them.
Let me say this. Now, Daniel can draft, he can teach it any way, but he's got to have some direction on what he's teaching. So what y'all want, let's be clear with what you want so that he can come back to you, and then you can try to make sure that he's doing exactly what you want. So I want some discussion briefly about what the body wants on this thing.
Okay, I'll go first, if that's okay with the board.
It's you're the person seeking recognition. You're recognized.
All right, I will. So I suggested last time Main Street be off limits from Hendricks to the Presbyterian Church. And so, this can be something. And the reason why I suggested that was to keep scooters off of Main Street, and they must wear a helmet. But children and there are other individuals. I had a tenant who was an adult that's how he got back and forth to work, was on a scooter, and sometimes they'd ride double. I don't know if that's very safe, but I wouldn't want to restrict people being able to get from the grocery store to City Park.
Well, let's write it down, or who wants
So,
what.
I
Write it down, Daniel.
Yes, sir.
I suggest no Main Street sidewalks, no Main Street from Hendricks to the Presbyterian Church. That gives them the back streets to be able to still navigate through in the back alley behind Cornerstone. And then I say that they must have a helmet on.
All right, and the helmet, what kind of helmet would it be?
A DOT approved helmet.
A DOT approved helmet.
Well, all right, so
A full face, an $80 helmet,
All right, folks.
Okay.
maybe just a bike helmet.
okay, all right.
Let's get other, now what would, now let's do one at a time. Now, the lady has her hand raised, now lady.
Question. The last time we
Madam.
discussed it, we talked about, well, it was summertime then. And the kids just being out, riding bikes, scooters, everything. Have you received increased complaints since school has been back in session?
I would say they're about the same.
About
I would say, I wouldn't say they're increased or decreased. I think there's a pretty flat line, as it was before.
Okay.
And obviously all traffic laws would apply. So if they were on a side street
Let me-
and run a stop sign,
If I may ask you one question about your tenants, are they riding on the electric bicycles or
Scooters.
one of these flat board
It's-
skateboards with one wheel in the front, and one wheel back, and a little T-hand?
and handlebars,
Okay.
yeah.
I just make sure we're on the same.
Let's make
Because
sure
they're-
that we.
The electric bicycles fall under a completely
Right.
different statute that's already in
Yeah.
state law, so that's why I want to make sure we
And-
weren't on.
And they were
So-
driving me crazy because they were charging the
Okay.
batteries inside the building.
Daniel, do you have enough information to go on what he's talking about?
Yes,
Now-
sir.
Now, Nicole, you didn't have any specifics, did you?
No, I was just asking a question from the last time that we discussed
Okay,
it. And I
okay.
wanted to know about the complaints being made.
Okay,
If it
all right.
increased or if it was the same, and you said it was the same.
And Joe, you have thoughts
Do
on
you,
it?
do you have a number? How many complaints?
Complaints a day? Official complaint, it's probably 20 a day.
20 a day.
Yes.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That is
Do you,
a lot.
do you have a
Our
record of
issues-
streets and where these issues are coming that we can
Our
focus this
biggest
on?
complaints are Jones, North Court, Main, complete distance of Main, all the way to the south city limits. Blackmer Drive, Thornton, and Central are gonna be our biggest complaint areas. Now, there's complaints all over, but that's gonna be the major ones. And our biggest issue is not them riding it. They'll come off the sidewalks, come off the side streets, in front of other traffic without due regard for stop signs or crossings. It's not the riding, it's the issue, it's the manner in which they're riding that is the issue. Someone is gonna get hurt or killed if we don't take serious action against them.
I have another thing I'd like to add to that.
All right, well, okay. All right,
that-
it's not in conflict.
Hunting
with-
hours only, you know, so.
What
from
hours?
Hunting, well, in country board terms,
Sunlight.
hunting hours only. So
Sunrise to sunset.
sunrise to sunset.
That's quantifiable.
That way we don't get the 30-minute before and 30-minute after. You go, it's
Right.
sunrise to sunset.
Do you think that
Sunrise, sunset.
before we had a complete ban, if the enforcement of these new proposed law ordinances or ordinance would decrease in complaints if enforced?
That's gonna get down to how you laid out the punishment. When you
could-
decide the punishment in the next step, then I can answer that question.
Well, the punishment, if you just pass an ordinance and say that it's a criminal offense, the punishment ordinarily would be as a misdemeanor, Judge. And that, you could say punished as that, but now that would be could be pretty severe, so, you know, y'all.
So we gonna start getting kids misdemeanors for riding scooters?
Y'all, look,
we
y'all,
can't do that.
y'all, now
We
that's,
can't do that.
y'all, what punishment do y'all seek? Now, we're trying to write it
My
up.
question is, if we ban them, where they gonna ride them at? I mean, we don't have a bike trail. We don't have nowhere for them to ride on the sides of the street. So if you just flat out ban them, where are they gonna ride them?
With all due respect, I don't care as long as they stay alive to ride them. Their driveway, their front yard, If they stay alive to ride them, I don't have your answer, but the first fatality I have to work out here if one of them gets hit, then I've got an issue.
Well, I'm trying to get what y'all,
And I understand that.
what y'all want in the soup right now. So I've got what
Now, I believe,
Yes, Alderman,
do not quote me on these numbers, please, because I don't have the actual draft I provided before in front of me. But if I'm not mistaken, there was a $50 fine for the first offense and impoundment of the scooter until it was paid. And second, third, and fourth offenses escalated from there. That's just from memory. I may have my dollar number off a little.
what was your first offense?
I believe off memory, sir, it was $50 and impoundment of the scooter until the fine was paid.
So who's gonna be responsible for the fine, the child or the parent?
Whichever.
It wouldn't.
Could we open up suggestions to the crowd?
Can I actually ask a
Well,
question?
we could,
Electric scooter.
excuse me, if with y'all's permission, we can, have questions from the crowd on this, and I have no problem with it because it's their town.
I make a motion that we
Not
open the table
mine.
for this item.
Well, I seek unanimous consent that we have a short session.
I second it.
Just unanimous consent, you don't, by unanimous, you can do anything. Anybody oppose it, we gonna do it. Now, we'll recognize, in decency and order,
I said,
gentleman, Mr. Johnny Wayne.
I said find the parent, write the ticket. Get the child's address, parent's number, find them, get the ticket to the parent.
So the legal guardian.
And the legal guardian.
If that's legal, are y'all
Oh, yeah,
are
the
y'all got
parent's
the guidance
responsible
on
for the
that?
sins of the
Well,
child.
it's possibly considered active delinquency.
Is there a legal age you have to be in order to ride on an electric scooter?
Not to my knowledge, and if there, not that I've ever
Is that
seen.
something that we might want to
This
consider?
board could
Because one-
do that, I think, because we have they have home rule powers now. If it doesn't conflict with existing state law, oftentimes, Daniel, they can do within limits.
As long as the state
No, I'm
already.
just saying, like,
Yes.
today, for instance, we actually experienced this. This is my son. He's 16 years old. He hates that I just said that, but he's a new driver. He's a very cautious driver. We paid and sent him to extra driving lessons so that he would be very cautious.
You're
I was in
blessed.
the vehicle with him, and we had about 6 little kids on electric scooters whip out in front of him. And if he wasn't driving so slower than the speed limit, he would have hit one of them. That happened 2 hours before this meeting started. So, like, to me, there should also be, you shouldn't have a 5-year-old who's on an electric vehicle, basically.
I think that's
On
right.
city streets, I can get on board with that.
I mean,
I would think that the judgment of a 5-year-old is not as good as the judgment of a 12-year-old.
5-year-old, yes. I mean, that's-
For the crowd at the courthouse, I see the gentleman standing. I'll recognize, well, the mayor will recognize you when he gets there. There's several people here that you can't see that have their hand raised.
Recognized.
So if the problem isn't them riding scooters, it's running stop signs, running stoplights and stuff, why not just subject them to traffic law?
That's an option.
If they're not
Ban
constant
the
and watch
main
them,
artery.
then how are they gonna watch them when you make them ban? Like, you're not gonna watch them either way.
No, I mean, I agree.
But, I mean, why not just subject them, like, get the same way as a bicycle? You run a stop sign, you get a ticket.
Now, I'm gonna have to defer this question, to Attorney Martin. Can I write a 5-year-old a traffic ticket? And my immediate answer is no.
You can
But-
write the parent.
Senatobia got in trouble for something common.
That would be all-
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. We're
If
not
you
gonna.
allowed a 5-year-old to do
But
that,
they
that
punish
would
a child
almost be
for being a child.
active delinquency, which is a violation of the law. All right. Now, who's next? I can't, right over here, there's a hand raised.
Okay,
I can't see who. Sorry,
okay,
I
my
see
name
the
is
hand.
Sandra Jones.
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
What I
Speak up.
suggest is that instead of jumping straight to fines and stuff
Yeah.
like that, get some kind of, like the young man said, training going where they can be educated on how to actually ride these scooters and make sure that they're attending these, when they get a scooter, that they're attending and they know what to do versus, because I've had a situation myself where I've almost hit a young man that I was coming out of Dollar General store, he didn't have a helmet or a light or anything, it was a dust dart. So I agree that it's something need to be done, but we don't automatically need to jump to fines, which doesn't help the situation with the kids, or the adults that use those scooters.
So a warning.
So get some kind of training going to, mitigate some of
You talk about
this.
authorize a warning the first time and then.
That
then
and or
progressive.
some type of official training that they can attend, you know, to teach them, just like the drivers, we have to be taught, trained how to drive. So it's something to allow them to be educated on how to properly operate those scooters.
But if they, repeat it, if somebody does it.
Then we
then
have
you
to go to,
do
have
more.
something in place for that, but before we just automatically jump into finding everybody, let's get something to start to educate them on how to operate those scooters properly.
All right, now
And be safe.
who's next? And you tell me who's next. Well, okay, next then, please.
Okay, my name is Larry Stokes. I agree with her that they do need to have some kind of training, because I've had to talk to my son about riding here. Before taking them off certain streets, a lot of these kids who can't drive, that's how they get into basketball and football practice. You take them off certain streets, then what are they gonna do? Yes, they do need to be trained.
Well, I'm gonna say this, I hope that when we get this $1.6 million sidewalk grant that's gonna connect all our parks together next year, every one of them, that we're gonna have more opportunities there for children to get to place safety. Now,
That's something that we can follow and look into for the Parks Commission, for their person.
I think
may be something that we can.
I think it is a matter of interest in the community, and I think that there needs to be something worked out that everybody could buy into as much as possible. And there could be training sessions. Let's say that a child got one, that they could be training sessions, for the guardian and the child, or a little thing for that, for safety purpose. And then if they've repeated, then, move on up. So, but I just throw that out now. It might, a lot of consideration needed. Go ahead.
What's the level of specs that you classify as a toy? Because I see there are various levels of specs on those scooters. I see some with headlights, I see some with a little horn on them. That seem like those should be street legal.
What do you think what's your proposal?
So that's why I just want to know what are the specs. So you see, like she says, you get some are just mainly daytime scooters that don't have no lights on them, they don't have no reflectors on them, they don't have bells or any kind of horns on them. But then you see the adults, like the guy said, you got some use those scooters as their mode of transportation because they can't afford a vehicle. So that's the way they get back and forth to work. Grocery
I'd say
store.
anything at night, or anybody needs to have some reflective, needs to have for their safety, needs to have some lighting or something so that oncoming traffic can.
But to your point, I don't think.
The chief said toy scooters. The chief said toy scooters, so there are several levels of it. Some of them are not toys, some of them actually modes of transportation.
Right, okay. Well,
To answer your question, I cannot, forgive me, I don't have it in front of me to answer. They were classified out, there were several, categories in there. Basically, the toys were the skateboard essentially style with a wheel in the front, the wheel in the back, and the handlebar. That was kind of where it was written. I don't have the exact verbiage.
That's
not motorized.
I have seen some that's big enough to support a plus size guy like myself.
Right.
That are made for hunters and stuff to go in the woods to bring back the meat and everything.
I don't think scooters are classified like the e-bikes are that have the class 1 through 3, right?
Yeah.
To my knowledge, yes.
Right, now, let's get a couple more comments if we can, and then we'll And Daniel, if we can get somebody from the courthouse, we'll do that.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that right now then.
Well,
Let
let's-
me turn
well,
the
we-
speaker
one
on.
more,
we stood up. All right, then we'll.
One second.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mostly agree with this gentleman here, as I'm sure Mr. Bobby Murphy over here can attest. Me and his son used to go out in the town every day when we were in middle school and high school, riding on scooters, bikes, and, you know, other things. But it was our parents that taught us not to go out in the streets. So I think we should hold the parents accountable. Tell the parents should absolutely be teaching their children not to be out in the streets. And I see no reason to tell kids that they can't go out and do the same things I used to do when I was younger. That would be the only thing that I would really have.
All right. Well, I tell you what, it is, it's good to hear people's opinions. That's how we learn.
Absolutely.
So,
We would have never thought of these things.
well, yeah.
So my name is Angel Kramer.
Yes, Angel.
There's a lot of different scenarios going on here.
Yeah.
On my street in particular, South Court Street, there are 5 and 6-year-olds, practically babies, on scooters, and it's kind of like a hill, like a little tilt, and they're just so fast. As we pull out of our driveway, we can't see the babies. They're so little, and they're going so fast, and they cut those corners so fast. So, I mean, in that kind of situation, do I go talk to the parents? Because it's coming from one particular home. I don't want to do that because, you know, I don't want to call the police, but something's going to happen. If not by us, they need to be protected, you know. They have no helmets on. It's a big safety concern.
Well, I
Thank
think
you.
the comments of everyone has been very helpful, and Daniel, you take them all to heart. Now, let's get a couple of comments from the courthouse group, so they're not left out. They're just as important. Please identify who you are, and then please go ahead.
Sure, Scott Smith. I was just going to say, you know, I think that making it a criminal offense is kind of extreme, I think. Civil, maybe a civil penalty, but I think really some kind of rules and regulations. So we're talking about kids. And if they're not on scooters, they're going to be on bikes. And there's really not a lot of places to go to around it. I think sidewalks, maybe they're allowed to ride on sidewalks. Just kind of create something that's, you know, teaches how to do this instead of just punishing them for being on the streets. Because some of them probably, that might be their own only transportation mode, or, you know, it's just a way for them to get out and have a little fun. So I understand there's a lot of people that are concerned about safety. They'd be on bikes doing the same thing. So maybe we need to teach them how to, you know, have a little better, maybe a warning or two, a ticket or something like that. That's all I have to say.
Scott, we very much appreciate that, and let's take another comment from our friends in the courthouse. Let's take another comment from our friends in the courthouse.
Scott, is there someone, okay. Well, there's a little bit of a lag.
Delay. Is there anybody else?
Right.
Yes, Miss Camille Breckenridge is speaking.
Oh, yes, let's let Camille speak.
Camille Breckenridge. I think this has been mentioned, but it's very glitchy and hard to hear over here. However, I would suggest a training course with law enforcement in conjunction with our parks director, a Saturday small couple of hours safety course for children, teenagers, anyone that's wanting to learn safety rules for scooters, bikes, even walking and running. I see people a lot of times on the wrong side of the street. There are some traffic rules and safety rules for walking, running, any type of activity like that on the streets. And I think that would be helpful. I also think
Camille, speak
that
up.
it's possible if you're going to do some sort of punitive, if you're going to do whatever your consequences are for first offense, etc., I think you need to include a requirement that the safety course be taken and passed part of that punitive part. So.
All right, well.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Camille, and thank everyone for their participation. Daniel, do you have enough to at least begin the compilation?
I have something that hadn't been addressed on the scooter issue.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Brown.
We live on Lafayette Street, and two of my neighbors, myself included, and I did make a police report. A young man, 12 years old, no helmet, but came up under my carport and just rode around. And so it scared the heck out of me. Now, I couldn't get it hold, but we got a good picture of him. The nicest police officer came out and took a report. And then not 2 weeks prior, my neighbor, she was out working late. She lives by herself. And a boy, you know, just came up under her carport and just stood there. And she said, "Could I help you?" And he was very rude, because a lot of these kids that are unsupervised don't have the, I mean, first of all, my child would never go up under somebody's carport. So then you're going into a liability issue then. And this lady had a good question as far as, you know, if I back out of my driveway and hit a kid, I'm responsible. You know, those people are gonna come after me. So I think everybody wants the kids safe, and everybody wants the kids to have something to do. I agree with that, but it can't be at the risk of the rest of us. It can't be.
Well, all right. Well, I think we've had some good comments there. And, is it the consensus to allow Daniel to come up with something, and then y'all look at it and see if it meets what you
You also need
desire?
to add whenever the kids go to training, their parents need to go to training with them.
Well, I think if you got a 5-year-old, it'd be pretty.
That's probably rode the scooter. 10 and 12-year-old.
Now, my 4-year-old grandson, when he wants something, he knows how to get it. Though he commands me. You play with me. But anyway, all right. So, is it consensus here that we get Daniel to come with a proposal on this, and then y'all carefully look at it, and Judge, you can look at it too, you know, and everyone else. And Chief's gonna be involved with it, and so let's do it, and so if that's agreed, then we need to move on. We've got ground to cover. Hopefully. All right, next, Grant, budget proceeding.
Mr. Mayor, we need to address the fireworks ordinance.
Well, let's do
We've
that.
done the same thing with it. We've discussed it, tabled it, and discussed it in research.
All right. All right, now, do you have let's talk about the concept that is desired on that. Now, what does the board want on that, so we can get that put to rest?
I personally think that we should ban all fireworks on all city property unless whoever wants to shoot comes and gets a permit from the city. And if they want to shoot fireworks on their own property between the allowed times, you know, the liability would be on them for being on their property. We'd still have the freedom, but you know, I had a complaint during the 4th of July of people shooting fireworks in the Wagner Street lot, and the grass was 5 feet tall, and if a fire started and burned somebody's house down, you know, who's liable if it happened on city property? You know?
Let me say this.
And I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Well, that's subject to, of course, before the Watermelon Carnival, that was clipped. But the question would be, now, you said get a permit. Now, that wouldn't be a prohibition. A permit would just be you made a request to be allowed to do it. Would you want to prohibit or would you want just them to have some sort of requirement to get a permit and some conditions upon the permit? What would be your, how do you want it to draft is what I'm saying?
Permit on city property, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Permit, but if you have a permit, what limitations are gonna be on the issuance of it. If you just say get a permit, somebody could come up and permit, they'd get a permit.
Oh.
But you could, you'd have to, you could either prohibit it outright, or you could say you're going to get it under you can get a permit under certain conditions, times or places or whatever. See what I mean? Everything's complicated.
Yeah, I think that
That's what we said the last time.
Yeah.
Last time they
Couple
were
days
talking.
before, a couple days after the holiday.
Let me ask you, Chief, when your
Clearly, it needs to be clearly understandable too.
when your officers were assaulted, I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah. Where or were they thrown? Were they shot at you from city property or private property, or both?
Davidson Street,
So city,
Edgefield Street,
city,
Charlie Harris.
City.
Charlie Harris Drive is 100% city property.
city.
Now, there was some from private property adjoining those roads, because there were so many people, they wouldn't all fit in the roadway. But the majority would be from the two roads along Baker Street Park, Davidson, Charlie Harris Drive, Edgefield, Martin. I don't think we had any on the North Court side that I remember, but 90% of them would have been from a city street or property, or immediately adjacent, which would probably still fall under the right-of-way issue, because they just wouldn't all fit in the street.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad we got citizens here. They might want to make a comment on this thing. You know.
Now, I will say,
But
Mr.
anyway,
Graham, we are one of the few cities in the state of Mississippi that I have found that even allow fireworks inside their corporate limits at all. Most of them, including our neighbors, you cannot buy them, even buy them, or transport them through their city limits.
Well,
We're one of the few that still have some hope.
All right, well, let's craft, now there again, we need to say what you want to be in a proposed ordinance or not, you know, and so tell me succinctly what you want. If you want a
Date and
permit.
time limitations where they are allowed throughout
the
year in city limits, period, and an outright ban on city property and right of way.
With an exception if unless you get a
With a
permit.
exception.
Yep. With a permit.
And I would suggest if you do the permit exception, do that role, it'd be coordinated through the police department for the safety aspect of possible crowds gathering. So we can be prepared and we don't get blindsided by 1,000 people watching a fireworks show we didn't know about. And also coordinated through the fire department, because if it was today, I'm sure they would decline it. I would set probably a 14-day initial permit and probably a 2 or 3 day review, because you know, as a fireman, we can go into a drought condition very quickly.
Absolutely.
So I would think it have to be initially approved by the police department and the fire department, and then brought before the board with our recommendations.
Okay, is there a sufficient information, Daniel, for you to begin to draft it? Now, that doesn't mean that it'll be adopted, but it would be begun to be drafted. You can't do an ordinance without it being drafted, and you gotta decide what you want in it. You want spaghetti, or you want ground turkey, or what you want? You know, we gotta.
You gotta have a penalty.
Yeah. You gotta have a penalty.
Yeah.
You can say punished as a misdemeanor if you want to.
I mean, I'd rather be fined.
Well,
that provides for
does it?
A typical misdemeanor carries, and one of these honorable people that went to law school can correct me if I misspeak, the typical misdemeanor is $500 and or 6 months in the county jail. Up to. That's the maximum.
You don't have to.
That's the maximum.
Oh gosh.
You don't have to.
No more bottle rockets in my front yard, only in my backyard.
The presiding judge does not have to, but that is the maximum.
No. And 6 months a little tough.
Yeah, okay.
That's, you know.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen that, but that is the
Now, I will say, let me say this, if you shoot a bottle rocket at a law enforcement officer with the intent to hurt him, if you're an adult,
that's a felony.
That is a simple assault on a law enforcement officer. That's punishable by this many. So you don't, and it's been extended to firefighters when we did that, and also emergency workers. So Okay, is it everyone's consensus that we get Daniel to draft it? Anybody in the crowd got a bone with it?
I suggest, how about we suggest, like with the permits, you got 4th of July, and you also got New Year. But the thing about the permit is that you set a time limit on it. They can pop the fireworks all during the day, but once dark fall, it's over with, and that permit can only last for just that one day.
Okay, y'all can, okay, let's do this. Daniel?
Yes, sir.
I believe we've got enough. You go ahead, we've got comments, you go ahead and draft an ordinance, and then it can be amended or changed. It will, and if it's, unless you declare it an emergency, it will be published in 30 days. Public comment would be allowed.
Yes, sir.
So if you would please do that in addition to your other duties.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Chief, anything else on that?
Not at this moment, Your Honor.
All right, so, okay. All right, 7, grant budget proceeding timeline proposal.
Yeah, so, you know, as I mentioned before, we're all under an immense amount of pressure, and the board is facing, you know, facing the ultimate liability of any, if we approve any claims with records that we don't really have, if things are overdrawn or anything like that. So this.
I'm not gonna write a check.
Yeah, sure.
She's not gonna sign.
Right, but I think what Grant is getting at is myself and the board, we've made repeated requests for up-to-date revenue and expenditure reports, and we haven't got them. And so what Grant has compiled for us is just a framework to help us understand the money that we have to spend, that we are approving. So we're not approving when we don't have the money.
It's a lot like that time, Tommy, you and I were talking, and you said, Grant, we got the money, and I said, great, show me. You know, and that's all. You know, so this packet is, or this just lines out what we like, and it mirrors state law, and it can. I think 90% of it is found in an expenditure and revenue report, and then we have a set of dates that we would like to discuss this a budget hearing, so it's in order, and we can get these documents, look at them, look at these numbers too, make sure that they're okay, and have structure to this budget.
Well, I mean, a budget is basically, as Joe said, it can be amended every time. It is something, it's a framework that you do, and if you approve an expenditure outside of it, you have to amend the budget every single time. So, you know, the budget should be, by law, you start collecting taxes under the new fiscal year, October 1st. If you raise revenue, if you chose to raise property taxes or other revenue, you would need to publish for it. And if you do not choose to raise taxes, then you do not. So I would prefer that we not raise taxes, is my preference, and I don't see that as needed. I don't see tax rises or other increases are needed, so, but you know, there may be those that do. And now, working together, we can do it tomorrow, the next day, you know, that's fine.
And I will say in this, there's a provision to where these are suggested dates to get us to September 15th, right? And so we as a board can come together, or that give us a good timeline on moving forward, meeting with everybody that we need to meet, and make it happen.
Well, I suggest speed rather than not.
Well, I suggest crossing our T's and dotting our I's.
Well, they both can be done. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. Every other government does. I've been involved in jurisdictions setting budgets for about 50 years, and I know it can be done, and if it's not done in a timely manner, that's the fault of the preparer. So I've seen House and Senate deadlock and the people's business not be taken care of, and I've seen places that couldn't agree. And there's never a good outcome of that. So I agree. I would say any time is fine. I think if there's going to be, our certainly our departments have a great interest in the budget, as they should. Our citizens have a great interest in the budget. And, like Woodrow Wilson said, I don't agree with him on everything, but I agree with him on this. Budgets ought to be open covenants, openly arrived at. Not in somebody's back pocket, but in an open meeting and agreed to, and you agree with that too. I believe every member of this board would agree with that we need to do everything in the open and have it before the good Lord and everybody. So I think that, but I think we need to do it in a timely manner. These citizens have thought enough of this process to be here and given of their time and sacrificed their time for this. And so we owe it to them. They can't be here every night. They are the ones that are keeping this town going. Their work, hard work, they pay the taxes, and they call the shots, in my opinion. So let's honor them and get things done, and I believe we can.
Well, I make a motion that we adopt this and follow to the best of our abilities.
And I second that as well.
What is this? Let me see it.
It's right in front of you.
It's just a framework. It gets done before the deadline and everything.
I don't know what it has in it, but let me say this.
This has been shared with the city attorney.
Well, it hadn't been shared with me, but that's fine. But what I would say is this.
Yes.
It's shared with now. In the interest of transparency, I know. But the thing about open meeting, well, if it is, I don't have a problem if it's in compliance with state law. I would say, I don't know, where'd you get this from?
And I and Nicole worked on this diligently.
All right, well, I mean, it,
and I believe you submitted it to me when?
2 or 3 days ago.
Was it day Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Was it
Sunday or Monday?
Sunday or Monday?
Yeah.
So yesterday or the day before on Sunday? Okay.
So it's been worked on.
Well, I have not seen it, and but this is the thing about it. What I'm saying is, if the thing is to have meetings and do a budget, I'll meet with you at 12 o'clock at night if that's what you want to do.
Well, that's great. There's
that's
framework
fine
that
with
lays
me.
it all out.
I want
So
to
there's
have a
structure
decent
and order.
budget. Well, I don't know. You mentioned some. I just don't. What I would not want is to tie the hands of. I want to follow the law.
Does it require any immediate action as of today?
No.
No.
Restricted or otherwise. Well, you make certain findings here, and I don't know that you might be. Let's see what you would be doing. I don't know what you would be doing.
Would it be permissible?
Are you? Well, I think I would need to review it too. And there's certain things left out. I see, but I don't know. I would like to have the city attorney review this before we do it. And I'm available to meet with you at any time.
Scan through it. I mean, is this the one that was 40 pages long?
No.
No, this one is,
It's revised.
and I don't know, well, y'all had a lot of time, y'all came up with 40 pages pretty quick, and that's good. But I would like to, like an opportunity to review it.
Yeah, if we could, if I had an opportunity to look through it and ink it and submit it back to you guys before our September meeting.
Oh, absolutely.
And then,
Or within the next few days.
Yeah, so that's what we want, was in the next few days.
In the spirit of transparency, can it also be released to the public?
You've got mine right now.
I don't have it though.
Well, I just got it.
I know you don't, you haven't even read it, so
I've
like,
not read,
before something
I've
was
not
voted
read a
on, I would
sentence
think.
of it. And now you could, let me tell you, now, unintentionally, I'm sure, but what you can do, the budget process, I've learned that, for example, in the legislature, they had an income tax thing, and the Senate missed a drafting error. As a result, the budget was changed by over $100 million because of a drafting error that was missed. So I don't know what's in here, and I don't know what it does, but I would like the attorney to review it, and I think that would be helpful. And I'm not saying there's anything on
Well,
here
could we
about it.
tentatively adopt the dates for review of the budget?
Well, how about let's see what we've got to do. And as far as the budget, as soon as you want to do it, I'm game for doing it.
All right, what's the first date in here?
I don't know.
Well, I'm asking Grant.
And two, these citizens need, look, if you go, the citizens need to be appraised of what's going on.
Absolutely, but what about all the special meetings you call, Tommy?
But
We're just asking.
That's a good thing.
For a framework.
I don't work by the hour on this deal. This is a labor of love and a work of faith.
Well, the good thing is, this gives a few days of grace to get started anyways.
Yeah, let's work. Let's work.
So this can be within the grace period of getting reports, and so we can get, so we can start.
Quickly. I'm for you. I'll meet, I'm not gonna meet on the Sabbath, but I'll meet any other day. So we'll do it.
Today's Tuesday, you and Daniel review it, and that's it.
Okay, that'll be good. That'll be good. But Daniel, can you review it and make sure that it doesn't change any substantive law that is the law that, you know, because we have to follow the substantive law. So.
Let's move on, number 8.
All right. Number 8, Utility Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank y'all for letting us come by tonight. I hate to come with a prop and with handouts, but unlike the lady, we need to make sure we get handouts to people. So we've got 25 copies. We're gonna run out this evening. We'll make copies before you leave of anything we hand out. And let me say in echo of what's been said tonight, and am I talking loud enough?
No, sir.
I ain't never had that problem before. In furtherance of what we've talked about tonight, I want to walk you through a few things. My mama told me when I was a little boy, and I love my mama, she said that even if you got in a fight in your own family, my sister and I'd argue all day long. She's going to be moving up on Wood Street, so she'll be here before long. By that first year, my mama said, if you got in a fight in your own family, even if you won the argument, you still lost. You still lost. So we're not here tonight to argue about anything. I want to lay out a couple of facts, some things that I think is very important that we talk about as a community. We talk about related to your utility service. More importantly, we talk about the law. And we talk about arithmetic. Things that none of us can get around. 1 + 1 is going to be 2, whether it's in Water Valley or Moss Point or Memphis, wherever it is. That's what it is. I'm going to present to the board a financial position statement that the Utilities Commission adopted today, this afternoon. We called a meeting in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. And Grant, would you mind pass those around? There will be enough for everybody at the table. We've got, feel free to pass them out in order. I used to go to political rallies, they'd take them papers and fold them up and people fight over them, but I'm gonna keep me one. And this outlines for you where all the money's at. We want to make sure that we're completely transparent. And they're passed them, aren't they?
Yeah, you take one, pass it down.
If you need an extra, we'll share one. There you go. We're going to have plenty. I'm going to have to get some from the audience. I spent 16 years as your elected public service commissioner, and my job every day in and out for 16 years was to make sure that the charges that you're being charged by regulated utility companies were in fact true and just. I'm not a lawyer. I ain't never went to a law class outside of Oklahoma Community College, so I don't profess to be an attorney. But I did spend 16 years in this business, looking at the law, looking at the facts, trying to protect the interest of everybody that came before us, to make sure that we didn't approve willy-nilly rate increases, we didn't approve fake fees, we didn't have hidden charges. You got them, a lot of people used to call my office about them on your phone. Brandon Presley don't believe in hidden fees or hidden agendas. So let me walk you through what I've handed out, and this will lay out the financial picture of what your Utilities Commission faces today. And Mayor, thank you for asking us to come tonight. We've been asking for a public forum to talk about this for a long, long time. And thank you for the opportunity to do this. Thank you, citizens. It's a hot August night. It's 82 degrees in here, and I'm not going to be long. First thing, operating accounts. This is when you combine everything the electric department has right now in its accounts. It's $1,061,790.71. That sounds kind of good till you realize reality. We owe the Tennessee Valley Authority $555,117.69 just for this month's wholesale power bill. That's where we buy the electricity that we end up reselling to you at your home. Everybody with me? We buy it from TVA. It gets marked up and it's sent to your home. That markup is the rates. We've committed not to raise rates. I don't think Water Valley can afford a rate increase in the economy we find and the anti-business signal that it sends for economic development. So we owe $555,000. You take that out of the cash on hand. That does not include personnel costs. That doesn't include a tank of gas. That doesn't include a bolt, a screw, a uniform, nothing. It leaves us $506,673.02. This is on electricity only. I'll talk about water, sewer, and garbage as much as I can, but we have very scant details on that. Next up, restricted funds as approved by the legislature. Mayor Reynolds did a great job during his time in the legislature, and since he's been mayor, of really wrestling and wrangling arms and sometimes twisting arms out of socket to get money out of Jackson. That's well recognized. Mayor, I thank you for that. I thank you for your work on that. I think when you got that money, you wanted us to spend that in the best interest of the people of Water Valley, for the long-term interest of the ratepayers, to do one thing: keep the lights on. Keep the lights on. Anybody remember those days when we went power outage after power outage after power outage? I know you board members do. Because 16 times right at this table, 16 times, this board and the board before it declared that our electric system was in such a sorry shape of disrepair that it was a state of emergency. 16 times. 16 times consecutively that our electric system was failing. And we had to take emergency actions. And I think the law talks about peril, Daniel, to health and welfare and homes and businesses. 16 times. You can feel that just like you heard those branches popping in the ice storm. 16 popped. It's an emergency. So remember that as I go through this document. We have funds from the legislature, Senate Bill 2468. The legislature specifically said in that bill that you could only spend that money, I want you to hear me now, you could only spend that money for repair, maintenance, and upgrade of the city's electric department. That's pretty simple. Don't take a genius to understand it. Poles, wires, all the mechanics you have to keep the lights on. We have $831,089.51 left in that account as of today. These are fresh numbers. Now, of that $831,089, we have already paid for the 41 miles of right-of-way trimming that was done in the fall. We had to complete paying the $125,000 of dollars, and I didn't recognize our general manager, Jim McClure, and Bradley Hale from Atwell, and Jeff Atwell, and Chris Latimer, our attorney, and Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Hawkins. Commissioner Weeks isn't with us. He's in Colorado. I don't blame him. It's a lot cooler out there. That are with us here tonight. We spent $125,000 to complete a project that we inherited 1 year ago this month. The project to turn the 2 backup transformers on at Solero in the hospital, so that in, God forbid, we lose electricity in the middle of something, we've got some backup and we can buy electricity from Tallahatchie Valley Electric Power Association. That project, when we inherited it, was almost out of time. We almost endangered the $487,000 in grant funds. Thank you, Brandon Richardson. Thank you, Michael Richardson. Thank you to those who work for the utilities. Robert, I saw you down there some days. I think you're supervising, but you were there. And we appreciate it. Getting that project in under the wire, but here's the problem, folks. We were $125,000 over budget. And that's nobody's fault. And I'm going to talk a little bit about cost increases as we go through that. So that left us $831,089. We have been fortunate through hard work, and Mayor and Board, when you commissioned us 1 year ago this month, last month, we took office this month, you said go out and find the money. Be aggressive, do everything you can do to up the service. And we're proud to say today that service is better than it's been in a long, long time. On outages, on problems with our electric system, and every day as you drive around this town, even after this ice storm, you can see improvements happening minute by minute. And I take it as a point of pride that in the month of February, this exact board, and the mayor, I appreciate your comments that night, approving and pushing for water, sewer, and sanitation to be put under us, and we transformed from an electric commission to a utilities commission with the complete support of this board and this mayor. And now water, sewer, and sanitation is under our jurisdiction, and we're aiming to try to provide service above expectation there also. We went after the money, and we were able to get $1 million from the Delta Regional Authority. To get that, we had to pledge $200,000 of local money. That's the grant money from the legislature. Next up, Mississippi Development Authority put out a grid resiliency grant. All of these work in tandem, just like an engine and a machine. They put out a grid resiliency grant to give us $1 million if we would put up $484,000. Not a bad trade. Not a bad trade with a system that 16 times had been declared an emergency. We went to work and got that money. That leaves us, when you back out the commitments to get the grant money, $147,089.51 in that pool of money. It's dwindling, but it's all going in good order and for good purpose. Let's look at House Bill 603. That's $497,047.55. That's a little bit more restrictive. We can't use that for general repairs, maintenance, and upgrades to the electric system. It says it can be used for the facilitation of broadband service in the city of Waterbury. When we took over 1 year ago, not one single, I want you to hear me now, not one single electric pole in this city had ever been treated for rot, to protect against rot, tag, GPS. You ride by them now. There's a yellow tag hanging on them with a WV number. That money helped pay for that. But that money is much more restricted because you can only spend it when it touches what? Broadband. So we have to be very careful to stay on the law with that. So when you look at these figures, we'll look at them. Total restricted funds on deposit, when you add up what we got now, plus the, there's 831, which we know something's got to come out of there. And then there's the 497, you get to $1,328,137. Total uncommitted restricted funds, $644,137. Our bank balance today, if you add up all the funds from the legislature, I'm going to talk about funds that are coming in now. You add up all the funds from the legislature. We can't spend that on personnel. We can't spend that on gasoline. We can't spend that on Gatorade. We can't spend that on office supplies. It has to go plowed into infrastructure. It should be that way. That's $2,389,927 when you just lump it all together. Now, anticipated funds. The mayor worked hard. Others in this room worked hard to get $1,200,000 traveling under the same language as that Senate Bill 2460, exact same language, for repair, maintenance, and upgrade of the city's electric department of $1,200,000. That wire should hit any minute. And we're grateful for that. And we appreciate Senator Zuber and Representative Horan. I talked to him that day into the night. And I know the mayor did, probably way more than I did, to try to get that money in. That's the good side. Here's where reality begins to set in. I want you to think about this the way you think about your own checkbook at home. You know you got bills coming out. You know you got payments due. And you try to do like all of us try to do and balance it all out and keep it on the in the black on the ledger. Upcoming and anticipated obligations. I want to use the word obligations very clearly tonight for the record. For the record. Obligations that we have. These are things that we incur as debts to recover from the ice storm. Ain't nobody going to come in here and do it for free. I heard some information tonight from ER Assistant Jim McClure, and man, first time we heard it. About a UEI number. We've been asking. First time we heard it's tonight. First time we heard it's tonight. We know that this winter storm is going to cost $3,200,000 when it's all said and done. Now, a lot of that's going to be reimbursable. So I want you to understand what MEMA has told us, and our general manager's here, he's had the conversation, that until they see a canceled check for these amounts, they will not begin that reimbursement process. Everybody with me? You spend $3,200,000.
There are a few things that don't fall on.
There's a few things. I think we've got about $100,000 that's been forwarded, but not a lot. And I appreciate learning tonight that we could get a new UEI. And we'll talk about in a minute about the FEMA request that's been made to the city and how there's been some overlap possibly, and maybe we can work that out. But $3,200,000, we cannot get our 87% back until FEMA says to us that they see a canceled check. I really don't blame them in some ways. You know, you want to see that the people paid the bill. And I think it's apropos for this situation. I saw an email that Mr. Martin sent yesterday to our attorney that one of our vendors, Michael Gray, Grace Power Supply, was saying he was going to send a demand letter related to debt owed with the winter storm because he wanted to be paid. I don't blame those vendors. I don't blame them, because when Brandon Richardson called me in the middle of that storm, go ahead. Is that not true?
Well, to be fair, he said that as long as he got assurances
Sure,
or
sure.
expectations that he wasn't going to do that.
Right, but that was a sort of, this is what I'm going to do if I don't get an expectation.
Might
Thank
I
you.
say, gentlemen, that has been obligated by FEMA, and I appreciate that. And FEMA obligated that, let's see.
Well, this-
Well, that has been obligated
No,
by
sir.
FEMA.
No, sir.
I'm looking, it's $116,000.
Well, this is a $400,000 bill.
This is $296,000 and some
I
change.
thought it was 116.
No, sir.
116 is Russellville Electric.
Let's not get into this, but that's emblematic of the miscommunication or no communication that's come to the city to us related to the FEMA reimbursements.
This will be
But regardless,
obligated.
Mayor, I'm going to try to finish this if you don't mind. $3,200,000 of FEMA funds that we know we got to show canceled checks on. That's unquestionable. But let's go to something that's on the positive note. The mayor worked hard, I think, the first 2 weeks you were in office to get the federal DOE grant, GRIP grant. First week. And I'm asking you tonight, let's don't throw that in the trash. The first week, because you know where Water Valley, you know how many connections Water Valley has for electricity to the outside world? Anybody want to guess? How many connections do we have? One to the outside world. Something happens to that transformer. That's not true about Oklahoma. Oklahoma has more connections than we do. And Mr. Atwell's crews of engineers down there. But the issue is that we have one connection to the outside world. Something happens to that line, we're out of power. Anybody remember 2022? Remember when we were out of power? It was agreed upon early on in this administration's time to go out and get Federal Department of Energy GRIP grant fund. Those will pay 50% of the cost to build a new substation on the north end of town, so we're not just relying on one connection, one extension cord to keep our power on. Now, to do that, we have to match that 50-50. We pay 50% of the cost, federal government pays 50% of the cost. That's $2,935,109 on current estimates. Mr. Atwell is going to address this in a minute. $2,935,109. That is our 50-50 share. When you add all that together, and we know that there will be some FEMA reimbursement, but the thing that we can't count on, and you don't want us to count on, nobody in this room under the penalty of perjury could tell you when FEMA is going to pay us. You do not want us spending public money with no timeline as to when we're going to get it back and setting policy that way. That's a bad, cheap, underhanded way to set public policy. We're not going to be a part of that. Mr. Hale is here with Atwell and Gent, served as the utilities manager in the city of Amory during the tornado in 2023. He will tell you tonight the city of Amory is still not fully reimbursed 3 years later. Am I right, Brad?
Yes, sir.
Is not fully reimbursed 3 years later for their tornado expenses. We cannot count on money that's not there, ladies and gentlemen. We can't set your power rates on that, and we can't spend money that way. This is not state government. This is not the federal government. This is not funny math. This is your power bills and your public money that you have a right to know how it's being sent and obligated. So when you look at that and you total them up, that's $6,135,109. If you add up everything we've got in the bank and everything we anticipate coming in the next 30 days, that gets you $3,589,000. I'm so old, I got to put my glasses on. $589,927. If you add everything, money that we don't have yet from the legislature, take out TVA, take out your committed local matches, Delta Regional Authority, MDA state grant, and we have a shortfall of $3,784,298. With all the good news of state money and appropriated money, we're very grateful for that. That is the truth. Those are the facts and figures. You don't expect us as people that are responsible under bond and under law to spend money willy-nilly or to raise rates just because it sounds good for a moment. That's not good public policy. That's not how we grow the economy. That's not how we attract the jobs. And it is not the way in which public business ought to be conducted. $3,784,298. I bring this to you tonight with other documents that Mr. Latimer is going to address, Mr. Atwell is going to address, to make a factual record. The commission adopted this today in an open meeting, noticed as a factual record, as our financial position regarding electric revenue. These are the facts. There's nothing hidden in them about it. Secondly, I point you to, and Mr. Latimer is going to talk a little bit more about this. There's been a lot of talk about payment in lieu of taxes. There's been a lot of talk about that. Payment in lieu of taxes, and TVA today at about 11:09 sent the email and a ruling from their Regulatory Assurance Division. I worked with TVA for 16 years. This is a rare move for them. But they sent a ruling today, and I want to read you in part. I'll let Mr. Latimer read it in part, but essentially, he's the attorney, I'm not. Essentially, it says that you've got to pay your bills first. You've got to meet your obligations first. You've got to secure and have adequate cash on reserves to pay bills before you can start donating money to other entities. Now, this isn't Brandon Presley's word for it. I want you to know it ain't my word for it. Let's pass some of these around. Well, I think it's pretty plain in the letter, and the public can read just as good as we up here can. And front and back on this, and it's the commission, according to TVA, that makes the determination as to whether or not to issue a pilot. And it says that the city may collect it, but only if certain contingencies are made. The law doesn't allow you just to take that money and throw it out the window. And this is a document from TVA. I'm not fluffing this up. I'm not dressing this up. I'm not giving you any political talk. Read it for yourself, front and back, as to what can be done and what cannot be done. That is a letter from the Tennessee Valley Authority, a federal agency. Now, all's not lost. All is not lost, and all has not been lost. So I want to talk to you tonight about a few things you probably hadn't heard about. And I appreciate the chief of police being here. Now, I appreciate him coming to my house 2 weeks ago and meeting with me about this very issue, about how ways we can find to help the police department. I extended the same invitation this last Wednesday to the fire chief. Hadn't taken me up on it, but the invitation stands. Because we're not hard-headed people. See, I was a mayor much longer than I ever stood in these boots as a volunteer, non-paid chairman of the Utilities Commission. I can tell you that. I understand the pressure those around this table face. So we proposed on May the 29th in a 29-page memorandum, hand-delivered to everybody here, including the city attorney, the mayor. I don't know about Ms. Clerk. I think I got you one, but if I didn't, I'm sorry. But I got to the governing board. A way in which to help the city through shared costs, reimbursements of costs, things that would have actual value to the departments for public safety that we all depend on, fire and police, and would add money into it. Now, there's not been any decision on that. There's not been anybody has opened up the door of communication about that. But we reiterate that position tonight. If any police officer or fireman in the city of Water Valley is laid off or has their benefits cut or whatever has been told without a sincere look at a cost-sharing model, shame on whoever let that happen. Because I'm telling you, and everybody here and the press, that that's not been the model by which we've been operating. We want to legally, ethically, and honestly be able to help the city. And we want to go by the law. To ask us to do anything else, ask us to betray our oath, and ask us to betray our office. Lastly, Mr. Atwell is going to talk in just a minute about a couple of the options that are before us. Some are revenue bonds, Some are Tennessee Valley Authority loans. You can ask us tonight to spend every dime of money we got in the bank to pay off the ice storm. And if we do that, we've got to say no to the second substation. We've got to turn back in the $1 million in grants. And I think Mr. Atwell will tell you it will delay progress for the next 5 years. This governing body declared 16 separate times. And until this kerfuffle over the budget, where so much misinformation has been put out, we knew it was in a state of disrepair. We're coming to the table. We stand at the table to be willing to help, to be willing to work, to be willing to find revenue in ways that are legal. The Tennessee Valley Authorities issued their ruling, and they say they support the commission if the commission finds that those revenues do not exist. I think it's pretty good evidence by this financial position that it doesn't. Mr. Atwell's going to go through the grants. He's going to go through our 5-year process. He's going to go through those plans. You deserve to know the truth. And we're here tonight to try to answer those questions. We want to see these agreements worked out. Nobody from our side has ever said we want to see a police officer laid off or a fireman laid off. That didn't come from us. Almost 90 days ago, we were bringing money to the table. Almost 90 days ago, we were showing where funds could be found. And I hate to say this, and it's a little country jargon, but it's truth. It all spins the same. It all spins the same. So if we can strip away the varnish and shellac of politics, personalities, misinformation, and let's get back to the Water Valley we were in January, instead of the people we've been in August. Back to where we were when this ice storm hit. And everybody pulled together and we got out of the thing all at one time. We stand willing. We've been willing for 90 days. And we continue to pledge that. I'll next turn it over to Mr. Atwell, who's our...
Let me make a response here. I think it needs to be made. First off, if this were adopted, there would be draconian cuts in the budget, and everything that is out would be true. It would happen. You would have the fire and police devastated. And let me finish. Amory had the storm. Each year they have continued to pay a FILOT of $785,000 a year. And let me say one other thing. If you have the police having to come to a non-elected body, you have an elected body here. If you have the police having to go, or the fire, to have to come to a non-elected body and beg that non-elected body for money to survive, that is not a democracy. And I think it violates every principle. In other words, we have the Iranian form of government if we do that, the supreme leader, and then the elected officials will follow. No, let me finish just a minute. I'm not insulting your intelligence. And when we did the GRIP grant, the engineer who I requested be hired, and we did, because he's competent, and we got the GRIP grant. The GRIP grant was never, the thought was we could get savings from improving the wire, and hopefully that'll happen. They could pay for a bond issue, and the bond issue will achieve that sufficiency to provide the matching fund, and that would not result in an increase, but it's actuarially sound to have a bond issue for that. So that's over $3 million of this. And most TVA cities, Oxford, Amory, they have pilot programs, and that works. And might I say, ER Assist is working diligently on these, and they are working their magic on these the storms. So that is done. But I had to, in the interest of in the interest of pointing out facts, I had to had to do that.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me say this, there ain't a Santa Claus and ain't a tooth fairy, and I'm sorry for any young kids in here. That's the facts. There just aren't. That old Merle Haggard song about drinking that free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew, that's not in the real world. And that's not the world in which we operate in. And that is not the world in which we can keep your utilities reliable. I want to say one thing. Nobody has ever said that the police department's got to come to us. Nobody has ever said that. They can come to this board. We can share out the cost. We are not looking for them to come to us. We're looking for a way to get them money. And you've seen an example tonight of extremism about Iran. My gosh. Come on, we can work this out. We can work this out. We can work this out. Let's go back to being the Water Valley mayor that we were in January and not in August.
Let's go back to being the Water Valley that we all work together.
Absolutely. I think we agree on
Where
that.
the elected officials make the decision.
The money stands the same. We're willing to give it to the elected officials, sir. We're willing to give it to the elected officials. Let me give you an example. Tina does a great job down there. Tina does a lot of our budgetary work. She keeps up with our bills, does a lot of things on water and sewer and sanitation. We do not reimburse the city of Water Valley one dime for that lady's salary. We should. We should be paying 50% of her salary back to the city. We should. Because we're causing that cost. That's what's on the table. Miss Vivian does a great job. She's been worn out the last 2 months of people calling. She's never once not been graceful and kind and talked to me about my cats and give me some good advice at time here and there. We pay 20% of her salary. We should pay more. Those are real dollars, ladies and gentlemen. Those are real dollars. Now, they don't arrive under the package that some want, but they are real dollars. And if we're really committed to settling this issue, we'll be committed to taking the compromise and working it out. Mayor mentioned just a minute ago, he rightfully did, and thank you for that. Thank you for hiring Jeff Atwell. Thank you for hiring him, because he's been a tremendous asset to us. Y'all had him in place before us. Mr. Atwell's going to step up and speak. Jeff, it's hot. It's 83 degrees in here. 82.
I'll be brief.
You get the nod, but let's pass out any copies. If we've got extras for the public, let's please pass them out. And then we'll hear from Mr. Latimer, who's our attorney, talk about the TVA, and then I want to come back to close with our comments.
All right, he's Mayor, Board, thank you for having me here. Really, what I'm going to try to do tonight is just give you an update on where we're at on permanent storeroom repairs, and also our expenditures from Ice Storm Fern, Winter Storm Fern, and then also talk about the work plan. We've got a real high-level summary of the expenses that have been incurred or obligated to date, and we still have a lot of remaining costs as well. We've got contract crews in, and Brad can speak to that if needed. We're still doing, during the storm, the main priority was to get the lights on as quickly as we could. And if it was something that could be repaired or fixed later, that's what we did. It was cold, it was really hard conditions, and we were trying to get the power back on. So we've got a lot of work still left to do. We're replacing damaged poles, we're replacing damaged conductors, and that will be ongoing for probably another 6 months or so, Brad. Yeah. And so the obligated costs are firm costs. We know what those are. The remaining costs are estimated costs based on workflow and the work that we've seen. We feel pretty good about those estimates. The bottom line is, when we get to the end of this, the Utilities Commission is going to need a $3.2 million loan just to pay the cost.
Or it could be a bond issue.
Or a bond. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to get it. We've got to get everybody paid off. And one thing that the utility business is a little different from a lot of places. If you want people to come work for you, you've got to pay them. So everybody's competing for contract crews, for municipal crews, for materials, and it's very relationship based. The reason you had crews here was primarily because of Brad Hale and his relationships. And we have to get these people paid. It's necessary. Or the next storm, there won't be anybody here. Right. And it's going to be bad. So it's not optional. You've got to get these people paid. And if there's any questions about these amounts, but you know, we're trying to be sure that you're well informed on actual costs.
Jeff, now you mentioned the city of Philadelphia, I see that's obligated by FEMA, those workers, and the city of Louisville, that's obligated, and so those, and Russellville is obligated, those amounts.
To date, they've not been paid, right?
They paid one.
Okay.
They are obligated.
Has Russellville been
FEMA.
paid yet? Okay,
They are
Russellville came here in February.
That's right.
We're in August.
They are obligated.
And the other thing about that is, this goes back to the miscommunication. We had to file, in Mayor's point, under the same UEI of the city, which allowed the city at the time to take first bite at the zero interest loan. We don't have any ability to get the zero interest loan right now. The mayor and the administration took that. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. And I'm not blaming you for taking it. I'm just saying that's the fact is we don't have the ability to get the 0% interest loan because it was locked out because of the allocation is per jurisdiction. I'm using the same information, the same consultants you are, Laura Matula and ER Assist. And we will talk, I can assure you, I asked for a meeting with Laura last week. I promise you, we will settle this issue with her in private as to the numbers. But go ahead, Jeff.
I've got her text right now.
Well, I'd like to sit down with her eye to eye, Mayor, myself, and verify it. Go ahead, Jeff.
Don't do that.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna move on to the work plan if that's okay, unless there's any discussion. Okay, so I really want you to take away 2 or 3 things. I've got a lot of information in this letter. I'm not gonna read it to you. The city and the Water Valley Utility Commission both have done an amazing job of getting funding in a variety of ways. We've had the GRIP grant, MDA, DRA, there's been some legislative funding. I can tell you this doesn't happen anywhere else. We work for a number of municipal distributors and it's beyond rare. And the other thing that I would say is a backdrop to this, I've been doing this for 40 years. And the grid resiliency grants and some of this money that the federal government has appropriated, I've never seen it before, and I really doubt that we'll ever see it again. This is a generational opportunity to get these grants and get this funding. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. It's not coming back again. So we've got a number of grants, and at the end of the day, when we get there, it's about a 42% cost match for Water Valley, the Water Valley Utilities Commission. So we're paying 42 cents on the dollar for improvements. When I started working here 3 years ago, I think I said the same thing repeatedly. This electric system suffered from decades of underinvestment, decades. I looked at a picture of a relay in the substation today. The substation breaker was made in 1952. I was showing one of our engineers a relay. They'd never seen one that looked like this. It was so old. So, and we're in a lot of substations. So the system needs work. All of these grants, we developed a 5-year work plan. They are very integrated and interconnected and intertwined. You can't, and you can show the map if somebody's interested. It's all over the electric system.
We're a little bit too much sometimes on information. It's boring as heck now, but feel free to come up and look at the phases in which all of these work together.
And we'll leave this here.
Yeah, we'll just leave it. Let's just leave it. The citizens have a right to see what it is.
But the thing to take away is all of these projects are intertwined and interconnected. You can't do them a la carte where you say, I want to do this one, but I'm not going to do that one. The electric system is too interconnected. You just can't do that. So it's an all or none. You know, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. And if you're not, you're not. It's not I'm going to have to do it. Really, it comes down to money and decisions where you want to be in 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. This is a generational investment. Most of these facilities, substation facilities, are designed to last 40 years. Obviously, we've been stretching out the substation. Right now, we're in 70 years plus. So what you're doing now is going to impact the next generation. And also the things that we're going to do, it's going to increase reliability, obviously, but it's also going to long-term reduce system losses, which allows us to keep rates stable. System losses are just wasted power that you have to pay for and you're not selling. And everybody pays for it, whether you know it or not.
Jeff, speak to the fact that I think one of the things that's important for the board to hear, and in fact for the citizens to hear, is that if we were put in a position to have to start turning this grant money away, and because we're having to drain every dime we got to either make improper payments or to just pay the bills, either one, talk to the citizens, but more importantly the board, about the cascading effect and the interlocking of, for instance, the Delta Regional Authority grant, the state grant, building to the substation. All of them work as a unit to try to do what? Keep your costs low, keep your costs low. Talk about that if we had to turn them down.
And frankly, we would never do this, under normal circumstances. We would have a construction work plan. We would go out with a bond issue. We would construct it all at one time. This has been very unique because there's a number of different funding sources. There's a number of different grants, and we're trying to maximize and leverage those. So we're having to do this piecemeal, but there's got to be a very good plan. So as Brandon said, some of them are building feeder circuits to a substation that's built under another grant. Some of them are replacing substation equipment, and then we're replacing feeder circuits so that we can get over and convert a lot of the 4 kV system to 13 kV. It all goes together, but it will, at the end of the day, we'll end up with a second delivery point. Right now, Water Valley has one transformer, one circuit switcher, one voltage regulator. Those are all single points of failure, every one of them. If one of them fails,
the whole town goes down.
Jeff, do you remember you were sitting right there when we discussed this originally? And you talked about, it's like buying a house. You don't finance it overnight, you finance it over time. You remember that?
Yes.
And most utilities do it over a 40-year period of time. They don't do it overnight or 30-year. And also, you remember when we went to Jackson one of the times, and I was in charge, and we had legislators around, and we were talking about we talked about a grant to advocate for money, and we talked about how if we replace the 4K wire, as much as we replaced that with, if we could spend $1 million on that, there was a saving possible, perhaps as much as $100,000 per year.
Absolutely, and that's part of the loss.
What I'm saying for this, if you spent $1.5 million on that, you would achieve about $147,000 saving, which would finance a bond issue of approximately $2 million over a year period of time. So what I'm saying is this: you don't pay for a house. Most people don't pay for a house by just one time. They amortize that, and also, I didn't work to get $6 million in grants for the electric to put the police out of business or the fire out of business. We need a stable source of revenue. You would agree with me, I believe, and everyone would agree, that the electric department gets a considerable, we all need a safe place to live, and we all need a place that's protected by fire department. That's just as important to elect as anybody else. Wouldn't you agree?
I'll make the statement this way. I'm a professional engineer. I'm obligated to guard, it's paramount, public safety and health and welfare. That's my first obligation in everything I advise. I'm not going to speak to fire police. That's not what I do.
I understand. You're an engineer, and that's why I recommended that you be hired.
Great move.
And I'm going to agree with you there. But not my move. It was a move of the entire board at that time and the citizenry. But I would say that if we got I think there's a solution to amortize the debt, and if a project is worthwhile, and I believe it is, you can go out and sell a bond issue, whatever you have to do, if it's worthwhile for the people. You know, you can do that. The school bond issue, we sold, got 93% in this town.
Jeff, I'm gonna ask you real quick, because I think.
Can I respond to that real quick? The thing I would say is, most utilities have 2-year construction work plans and 10-year long-range plans. And they execute those construction work plans every 2 years. The problem is, and then you can have a very orderly financing path and a very orderly construction path. That has not happened here. It has not happened for decades.
And that's why we got the $6 million.
Right. So we are in a very unusual situation that requires some really creative thinking, like these grants and the legislative appropriations. And we're having to do this in an unusual fashion.
What I don't want is the town to be drastically, well, I feel guilty in a way by getting this money and then the money being said that we're to actualize that, you've got to chop everything up. I don't believe that's the case. I think if we amortize it and we do things properly, there is a way we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think there's a way to do it, and there are experts on financing that can help us if we will but ask.
Jeff, let me go back to one point. It was said just a minute ago that we could spend $1.5 million and eliminate all of the old copper wire. Is that factual?
Not
all of it.
Okay, but to achieve $147,000 in savings, you would have to eliminate all of it. Are the grants that we're using today, MDR, it's one of our contractors, I'm sorry, I'm old, I'm tired. MDA's GRIP grant, the DRA grant, is that eliminating old copper wire as part of that process?
It's eliminating some.
Some.
The bigger part it's doing is it's converting a significant portion of the load that's 4 kV to 13 kV, which is where most of the savings are.
That'll save you money, that'll save you enough to pay off the bond issue.
Well, that's not to be determined, sir. But Jeff, let's go back to one more point. The issue, you just said something that I think needs to sit with the board for the record. That these 2-year and 10-year construction plans, that sounds mighty familiar to me in the language I read in the TVA letter today in 212719, it's in the code in Mississippi about planning and obligations. I want the citizens to sit with this. That's never been done here before, has it?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And any utility, municipal, cooperative, investor-owned, those that I regulated for 16 years, like Entergy and Mississippi Power, they have those plans to make sure that ball is rolling. You don't magically snap your fingers and get electricity in your house and keep it on. It just doesn't happen. Now, I say, back to this point, we're willing to come to the table, board members, with ways to share services. We're not asking anybody to come to us to ask for money. We want to give some agreements to y'all. Jeff, thank you. Mr. Latimer's our attorney. He's going to talk a minute about the TVA letter. Thank you, sir.
Board, may I approach and stand here? I want to break up the mojo a little bit, maybe give Mr. Martin some air over there, even though he's got his serious.
Everybody crowd him up.
And let me also say I enjoy working with Daniel very much. We have a professional, responsive relationship, and he's a pleasure to work with. I also see your good work tonight. I represented the city of Starkville for 14 years. I represent Taylor for the last 5 years. I sit with many a board on a Tuesday night, and I can see when a board is striving to do the right thing. And I'm seeing that in you guys tonight. I don't see any drama on this legally, and so there's a lot of drama talked back and forth right now, but it doesn't come from the law. So I just want to recap the law with you guys real quick, and then talk about the factual determination that the commission has made, because that's really what this boils down to. They've made a factual determination that they're in the hole by the amount of money that you see on that sheet, and it's up to you whether you trust them or not. So let's talk about the law very briefly. We start with the power contract because that was the first thing that governed this issue. That contract dates back many years between the City of Water Valley and TVA. And that contract spells out how the electric system revenue should be spent. And they tier that payout, or they waterfall that payout. So you have to pay step 1, then step 2, then step 3, then step 4. Step 1 is operating expenses. Step 2 is interest and principal on any debt. Step 3 is keeping reasonable reserves and working capital to run your system. And then here's the language of the power contract. From any revenues then remaining, payment in lieu of taxes. So if any remaining revenues occur, then you pay pilot out of that. The interesting thing is, not only does the power contract say that, Mississippi state law says that. The controlling statute is statute number 212719, and it mirrors the power contract. It has that same waterfall structure where it spells out what you pay in step 1, 2, 3, and on down the line. Here's what the statute says. It's amazingly similar to the power contract. Step 1, the Electric Commission pays operating expenses. Step 2, it pays principal and interest on debt. Step 3, it pays to acquire and improve its property to run its system. Step 4, all other obligations in the operation and maintenance of its system. Step 5, it's to keep a working cash fund and a surplus fund for emergencies. And then step 6, it says the balance of any revenues, if any, get paid for any lawful purpose. So the statute contemplates that there might not be any revenues left over once you pay 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It says the balance of the revenues, if any, for any lawful purpose, and that includes pilot. So you've seen the financial position statement that Brendan presented to you tonight, and the recommendation of Mr. Atwell that a loan's indicated of $3.2 million. So the commission met today at 5 o'clock, and they looked at this document, and they looked at the TVA letter, and they made a factual determination that, yeah, they're in the hole as of right now, $3.78 million. They did not make a determination that they're never going to pay pilot. They didn't make a determination that they're not going to pay pilot today or by the end of the year. Because if these reimbursements start to flow, there may be revenues that get you to step 4 in the power contract and that get you to step 5 in the Mississippi statute. You've seen what the TVA letter says. Not only does it spell out the power contract, but it says that a city and a commission is obligated to follow that tiered waterfall structure or they're in violation of the power contract. And so the issue is simple tonight. Do you trust what's on the page? Do you trust what Mr. Atwell is recommending? Do you trust the factual finding of the commission? If there's no money right now to pay pilot, they can't pay pilot. That's all there is to it. Thank you all for the opportunity to be heard tonight. I appreciate it.
Let me close with this and get us maybe to a solution. TVA rule, that's their letter. The only route around that letter, outside of other avenues, is federal district court, which costs money, which costs time, which is a waste of your resources. That's money that could be going to the police department. That's money that could be going to the fire department. All for what? So we stand willing, board members, as you go about your schedule or whatever you decide to determine to do, to sit down and vigorously find ways in which to have a cost share process. That's money, no matter what you call it. Some may not like what it's called or how it looks. Spends the same. Spends the same. And if we are willing to help, we should be paying a large portion of Tina's salary. We should be paying more of Miss Vivian's salary. And I'm telling you that tonight. Okay, I'm telling you that tonight we should be, and we're willing to. We should be doing that, and we are willing to. Now we have water, sewer, and sanitation under us. And I know Miss Vivian's been bogging with 1,000 things. We've got to get some current numbers, and we're working with her on that to look at how that's going to end at the end of the year. But there's opportunities there. When the mayor led the effort, the board approved it, to put water, sewer, and sanitation under us February the 26th. We immediately went to doing what any good government body would do. What can we do to save money? Because you're looking at the guy that voted against more rate increases than anybody in the history of the state of Mississippi on the Public Service Commission. You find ways to cut first without hurting people, but you find the fat in government. Not personnel, not taking away raises, not scaring the police, not scaring the fire. You go out and find ways, and we didn't have to do it. We looked at the first thing in the water system. And the water system's been paying about $80,000, round figures, don't hold me to that, but around $80,000 a year to treat the lagoon for smell related to the chicken plant. Anybody know how long the chicken plant's been gone? 10 years. 10 years. 80,000 times 10 years is what? 800,000. We cut that out. That also necessitated, because the chicken plant's been gone for 10 years, it also necessitated under the old DEQ permit, environmental protection permit, that you test the lagoon and its effluent and influent weekly, monthly, and quarterly. But guess what? When you no longer have a chicken plant, you have no need to test weekly or monthly, only quarterly. So we cut that out. That saved about another $40,000. We found that our water department employees We could outfit them with t-shirts. We were paying for dry cleaning bills. We were paying for dry cleaning bills for uniforms at the water department, for having pants and shirts pressed and turned in. We cut that out. $14,000 a year in savings. When our superintendent elected to retire, instead of filling that position, we got creative. We used the modern management skills that you'd use at home. How do I get all the same work done, save the money, and accomplish more for the taxpayer? So we contracted out with the gentleman, Mr. K.T. Newman. If you hadn't met him, he's wonderful. He teaches the classes on water safety and environmental protection safety. He is a certified operator on everything we have in our utility system on water and wastewater. Just by taking that from a full-time position that we're paying retirement benefits, 29%, and even when you kind of add it in, 28.5%, something, getting close to 29. 29% on top of the salary, and no overtime, assuming that the head of the water department never got an hour in overtime. That ain't the real world. Y'all know that. Water leaks, stuff happens. Assuming that the water superintendent never got overtime, we saved, just in moving one position to a contractual, we saved about $40,000. So if you add up, since February the 28th, when y'all graciously gave us water, sewer, and sanitation, we have been able to totally save somewhere around $150,000 a year in savings that we can document. Are they going to all materialize immediately? No. I'd be standing here lying to you if I told you they are. But we have cut off the dry cleaning. We have cut off the $70 to $80,000 a year in chemicals. We have cut out the waste. And we have gone after making sure we do what? Serve you better. Keep your rates low. Keep your service restored. By having those savings, that is another avenue, board members, that we can sit down and talk about ways in which could help, because y'all did have jurisdiction over these utilities for 6 months of this fiscal year. So we should talk about ways in which that savings and any cash savings are there. But that's the way you handle. Oh, I thought somebody said my name. I'm either hearing voices or losing my mind, probably both. Those are savings in dollars in which can be on the table. We hadn't been invited to the table till tonight to talk about these, but we're glad to try to do that. Lastly, the mayor and I have been in politics a long, long time. Longer than we won't admit, Mayor. I know I've outlived my usefulness in the elected arena. But we have a duty here to come together. We have a duty here for not one side to be right so the other side can be wrong. We have a bigger duty to adhere to the law. We have a bigger duty to make sure that we are making decisions that are in the long-term best interest of the citizens of Water Valley today and those little kids growing up in Water Valley riding them scooters that are going to grow up and live here later. Nobody at this table created the plethora, the bundle of problems that we found ourselves in. Nobody did. Nobody up here bears that blanket. What we all bear is the duty to get through it. And so we want to pledge to you tonight, as you go about your process, count us as a willing partner. Count us as people that want to come in and find unique ways. I don't want to be don't want any Iranian-style tactics. I just want to make sure that we sit down and have honest discussions, put numbers on paper, put numbers on the table, and we ensure that we're able to look at this crowd and the crowd at the courthouse and crowd around town and honestly answer these questions. I thank y'all for the opportunity to present tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would, now we'll have Chief. I would say there has been, a divergence in the purchase of equipment between some departments and others. And we'll get into that later. But, and we need to, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is the division of money. Now, in the ice storm, in the tornado, the pilot was still paid. There is a value to what the fire and police do for our town. If we defund the police and defund the fire, then the $6 million that I got will actually be a hindrance, unfortunately, to the town. And I bitterly regret it. I bitterly regret it. for that to happen. To take away $600,000 from the funds of the city would devastate I believe it would be very deleterious to our folks. So we need to be careful. These are people's lives that have worked for the fire department, that have made us a great fire department, and they've worked for the other departments, the streets, they've worked for all of us. And street department is driving around in old jalopies right now that are unsafe. And they don't get new equipment. They don't get new trucks. All they get is they got 2 lawnmowers, and so they went from 1 working to 4. And so that's what we had there. So we've got, you know, to have a situation of wealth on one side and poverty on another, to say, I'm going to take care of my left hand, but I'm going to chop off my right. That doesn't work in budgeting, and that doesn't work in government. So be careful about what in the pilot, whatever you want to call it, that's specifically authorized, gentlemen, in our contract with the TVA. That is specifically authorized. Now, let me ask you this. The value of our fire services is, you know, when you have a fire and it's your house, that's invaluable. What value you gonna put on that? When you have somebody breaking in your house and you need somebody to respond, what value you gonna put on that? When you have a need of a way to get to your house and you have a street that something needs to be fixed, what value you gonna put on that? So we need, at the end of the day, we don't want to take these blessings that we've received and we beg for and work for day in and day out and let them be let the people be crucified on them for lack of proper service. So, but anyway, that's my 2 bits. Others have said theirs. Gentlemen, Mark, fire.
Go ahead, please.
I'll give my 2 bits and I'll bounce. It's improper for me to talk to y'all about budget right now since y'all just got a budget to see it. I will tell you this. The firefighters are going to be here for you tonight if there's a fire, and tomorrow if there's a fire. The cops will be there, the street department, the electric department. The budget is not our problem right now. This is the problem that's got to get solved. The fire department will be here for you, but you have to solve this problem. Get up off this other crap and get together and figure out, or you're going to lose people not because of money, but because of leadership. And y'all all said you wanted to be leaders from this table to the commission table to every other table that's got a voice in this. You're here to be a leader. It's time to lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Jason?
Johnny Wayne? No. I agree with Mark on what he just said because, I mean, to be honest with y'all, it's a struggle out there with us during the day. I mean, I talk to all y'all board members and y'all know exactly what these guys making and they coming to me every day. I don't know when they gonna leave. I mean, it's the money issue and they keep talking about leaving. And I mean, I'm studying Florence and trying to keep them there, but they already talking about leaving. We got issue with trucks. I got guys riding on the back of these trucks every day. And I talked to each and every last one of you board members about 2-3 months ago about these trucks, and y'all ain't made no move to get no trucks. Y'all gonna keep on, I hate to say it, but it's gonna be a liability on the city when one of those guys fall off their truck and get hurt. We don't have 1, 2, 3 working vehicles down there. And 2 of the trucks that's working, all the guys are piled up on the back of them. I know people see these guys on the back of these trucks every day. They sitting on the side of the truck, sitting in the bottom of the truck, because we don't have no trucks. I mean, I feel for them, because I mean, you gotta realize something. Out of everybody in this room, I know half of you don't know what they make, but I talked to Nicole. Ain't no way nobody in this room can make it off of what these guys is making. And it's sad that these guys is not being paid like they need to be paid. You think about it, it's 100-something degrees out there every day now. And these guys is getting out there doing the best they can. And then you gotta look, you got wintertime coming. What you gonna do? You ain't got no truck to put them in. So my thing is this. If y'all don't come up with some kind of plan, you're not gonna have no workers. And I already know ain't nobody gonna come out there for no $10 an hour. And I'm just being honest. I mean, I push the issue on, I tell them, I talk to y'all, and I tell them all the time, I come here and talk my head off to these folks, but if they ain't gonna do nothing, I can't do nothing. But I'm just gonna say, if y'all don't come up with some kind of plan to get these guys some money, these guys gonna leave. And I don't know who y'all gonna get to cut this grass and feed this town clean. That's all I gotta say.
Any questions?
I'd like to make a comment and just go on record. You have never come to the board specifically with a truck and requesting a truck.
I have talked to the board about the truck. I've talked to Dimitri.
You've mentioned you needed a truck, but as
let's
the
keep
person
one
in charge
at a time.
of that department, you need to come with us and say, I need $43,000 for this crew cab F-150.
Well, I've talked to the board. You might not have been around, Joe, but I have mentioned this several
All right, wait a minute. Let's do one at a time.
And if I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying that that's the process that I haven't experienced, right?
Well,
I'm all for you guys not riding in the back of a truck. I'm all for everybody making more money.
I figure all y'all being board members, if I say something, one or two of y'all, maybe one or two of y'all will pass it on to the next person.
And we do, but it helps to come to us.
Well, let me say this. If you think you can, magical thinking means that you can have stuff and not pay for it. Everything that you want has to be paid for, and there has to be funding set aside for it, or it's just talk. So if you $10 is hard, and driving in unsafe trucks is hard, but you got to have the money, and the money has to be there to operate city government if you're going to operate it at at the level that our people expect. If not, you know. All right, any further comments? Next.
I would like to address the board, but I'd also like to ask the board if Mr. Chance Davis from the Aloysius General Hospital Ambulance Service could also address the board on my behalf as well before I do. He's asked to come with me in my slide.
Come on in.
Mr. Chance, the floor is yours for a moment.
Regarding, I can't advocate, I can't speak for or against the budget, anything that's said. I'm just here to speak on his behalf, to talk about the importance regarding the Water Valley Police Department when it comes to EMS. They secure the scenes for us. We deal with overdose, we deal with weapons, several other things. When it comes to them securing the scene, it's a necessity. And like I said, I'm not here to discuss. It's all out of my lane. But when it comes to advocating for them, I will do so and continue to do so. And pretty much all I got to say.
From my stance, Mr. Engineer, and I'm not going to call his name because I'm scared I'm going to mess it up, but just spoke earlier a few minutes ago, made the statement, if you don't pay people, you won't get people. I'm paraphrasing, it's probably not a direct quote, but it's real close to what he said. Most of my staff is here tonight. Some of them are out for working, some of them are out because one of them had a baby last night. The rest of them are at the courthouse now on the satellite version of this meeting. They're not, and I do not ever brag on myself, and they will tell you that because I absolutely hate this, but they're not here for what the money they make. They're here for me. They're here because of the way I treat them. That's the only reason they're still here. They can go 20 miles up the road and make more than I do as chief here, as patrolman. Every one of them. And they know it. Some of them are looking. And quite honestly, I can't blame them for making, $20,000, $25,000 hard to turn down. But they don't because of me and the way I treat them. And I will continue to treat them that way. In response to the statement that was made at the beginning of the meeting, I didn't say, or I don't believe I said that we were losing 35% of our budget, or it was voted on that we would lose 35% of our budget. We were facing a 35% budget cut. And I will stand by that to this day. As the commission and Mr. Presley just said, if the numbers match, if they stop paying the pilot, which I'm not getting into all that, that's a whole nother story. If the pilot stops, the city's revenue goes down to the point, if you don't have the income to have a balanced budget at the end of the day, our budget would have to be cut 35%. Or if ours wasn't cut, we wouldn't have a street department or we wouldn't have a fire department. Somebody's got to get cut. Otherwise, you can't make the zeros and the zeros match. So I'm not saying we would have a 35% cut, but if 3/4 of your revenue stops coming in, or you lose your paycheck at home, you got to make some cuts. You may not be able to eat ribeye, you may be eating bologna. And that's kind of where we're at. I've asked them if they wanted to speak. I believe they've all declined to speak. Although they are here, and they have all, entertained. Matter of fact, I know several of them have turned down jobs at higher paying agencies with take-home cars, with better equipment, with better tools. Same hours virtually. I can't say that one. We do have about the same schedule as all our neighbors. But $20,000 to $25,000 more a year is hard to beat. They stay for a reason. And you're looking at it.
Chief, what about your cars?
Oh, they're trash. Our cars, we've got a couple newer cars. Most of ours are well over 100,000 miles. And if you know anything about police cars, 100,000 miles on a police car is about 300,000 on your personal car. We run them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No matter what the weather is, no matter what the temperature is, we're here. We don't go home at night. Matter of fact, I worked a 12-hour shift last night.
You don't have a method of replacement?
We have one, but if the money's not there to buy them, it kind of goes in the garbage. I will say, it was on the agenda, but we had to back it off to the next meeting. I have reached out to Oxford. Well, Oxford Police Department reached out to me. They're going to give us a couple of cars. They're 12 years old with almost 200,000 miles on them. And that's matching what we're running, most of what we're running. But I couldn't turn it down. I talked to a captain and 2 captains up there, and I told them, I said, I may be taking your cars to put parts on mine. They said, do what you got to do, Chief. We back you. I've worked hard to build relationships with all our surrounding agencies, and I could bring all those chiefs and sheriffs in here. Miss Jackson talks to them regular on my behalf when I'm in and out. They do everything they can to help us, but we've got to help ourselves. We can't rely on them to bail us out with 12-year-old, 200,000 mile cars. So the budget is y'all's arena. We will work within whatever budget we're given. I don't know the solution. I don't have the solution. I just do believe that if the cuts and the revenue stops, for whatever reason the revenue stops today, and these people aren't, our staff isn't compensated, we may not have a police department. Just for the fact that the last 3 people I have brought before this board to be hired did not show up day one because they were offered more money.
I believe the old charter required a night marshal.
So there'll be one. We'll have a staff, and we're going to respond to calls, and we're coming. They've never failed me when I called them to come in, and I needed an emergency from wherever. And I believe they will continue to do that. I'm just asking you, as you go through your hearts and minds and you look at these numbers, to reflect that back to them. Show them you actually care for what they do. You are all are citizens of this city. We do the best we can with what we have. We'd like to do a whole lot more with a whole lot more. They've pretty much come to terms with if they can get the $2, that's not what they want. It doesn't even bring them close to anybody of our neighbors. But if they can get the $2 as a sign of good faith and work on implementing the step strategy that I presented back in June, so they can get, they'll know in, so much seniority, so much time on, they can expect a little more money. I believe most of the staff will stay with us. Without that, if it stays flat or we don't implement this step plan, I can't ask any of them to stay in good conscience. I can't ask them to turn down $20,000 a year. That's half a new car. Small car, but still. So that's all I will say on that, and I will see y'all back in a minute in executive.
Well, we appreciate your comments. Any questions of the chief from anyone? All right, thank y'all. and I think we've had a spirited discussion, but I think that's part of the democracy to do that. And we have different ideas and different thoughts, but you know, what do they say? Figures lie and liars figure. So I think Harry Truman said that. And so we can't do that. We've got to, I think our obligation on all of us is to do the best for the people of this town. And hopefully that's all of our goals. And we may have different ideas, but at the end of the day, we'll be judged not just for the people, but we'll be judged by the Almighty for what we do. Scripture says, what you do it unto the Lord. So I do think it is a deep obligation for us. And I will say this, I will offer to have the mayor's salary reduced to $1 per month for a year period, so that we can hopefully, I want to show commitment to these employees. I want to show commitment to the folks that have made this town work, and to the citizens of this town. I love them. They've been good to me. Never lost a precinct in 44 years. This town has been good to me. I love them, and I owe it to them to try to do everything I can to save this town, to help it. I pray that we don't throw away the progress we've made on the fire and police and the street. We've got, in 2 weeks, we're going to have a wonderful street project funded by money from Jackson, and not a tax rate. But the thing about it is, if there's nobody to look after the streets, you can pump in as much as you want, but what you gonna have? You know, so I ask everybody to step back and look at what we want. We can have a balanced approach where everybody, I'll be the first one to support a bond issue to match these things that need to be matched. You don't pay for a house. And one day, Communist China, they require, in Russia, there's some things like that. But here in America, we finance long-term purchases. And you do so, and there's a way, there are financial experts that could be consulted with. We have a number in this state that advise our public employees retirement system, and otherwise it'll be wonderfully good to work with us. The Tennessee Valley Authority is good, others are too, and our congressional and senatorial delegation will help us. And if we had a riot or insurrection, I think the National Guard, I mean not the National Guard, but they'll send in the Highway Patrol and they'll assure us of that. But we don't want that. We don't want that. What we want is everybody to work together, and we can achieve good results if we will. And everything we've got going, as I say, if we're a circular firing squad and you make something out of something wonderful, you make something terrible, you don't want to do that. Let's make something wonderful and keep progress going. If you get money and then you have to shut stuff down because you have to defund stuff to do it, that's not very smart. Let's be smart in Water Valley, and let's manage our resources properly, and then we'll all come out okay. And that's the only way we're going to survive is together. So
let's come to the table.
I think so, and a table that'll meet our needs. Now, there is a request that we have. All righty, y'all want to do that? Well, then the way to do an executive session for people that don't, for everyone, a board meeting has to be open except for 13 reasons.
Mayor,
one of them can be personnel. So,
Mayor,
yes.
Raymond Hawkins was.
I just have a very quick question. Won't take long.
Go ahead.
Nobody said how much the pilot payment is, number one, and nobody said how you got to that amount, whatever it is. So before we move off that topic of the budget, can we please address how much pilot payment is?
Let me address that for you. Vivian, how much was the pilot program in the budget last year? How much was it per month? This is important here, folks.
And we want an opportunity to respond.
Well, she's, okay. Gentlemen, how much was the pilot program in the budget?
We got 43,500 two
All right,
times.
listen to this. Now, this board passed a budget by a unanimous vote last year. This is important. And the pilot program was, how much was provided for per month?
43,500.
And that began October 1st. Now, how many payments has the utility commission paid?
We've gotten two.
2. So they have not paid 9 payments of $43,000 each, and the budget was adopted. They have not paid 9 payments since that question is asked.
But that doesn't answer my question.
Well, I'm telling you.
That sounded very grandstandish.
No, but
it does not answer my
well,
question.
I mean,
my question is, in your current budget,
that's what
how
I'm
much have
answering.
you appropriated for the pilot?
522.
522,000. Well, that's what I was asking. And you asked about the pilot.
And you and Mr. Martin were notified the law is the law. I'm not here to relitigate that. TVA's already ruled on it. I'm not here to relitigate it. Not here to relitigate
It is a tax, and that is a justifiable, it's a fee in lieu of tax. That's
the
part of
second
the
part
water
of my
law.
question was, how did we get to the $522,000?
The $522,000 is a step down from what it had been before. Gentlemen, let me explain to you what happened. We got 6% more revenue last year than we had before, and you're the beneficiary of it. And that is the truth. Y'all got the city took the city's budget called for less of a pilot that had been in the past.
But I just need to answer the question.
Daniel, would you please respond?
What formula did we use to get the 522?
All I know is that TVA used to ask me for how much our millage rate was, and they would tell us how much it was going to be.
Mr. Hall.
At that time, it was $615,000. Then it was done to something, it went down to 529. Then it went to 522. I don't know who made that decision.
So in other words, we, in spite of spending more money on it, we asked for less. We were trying to spend overtime to work the pilot down, and that's what we're doing. You know, moderation is a good thing. I'm a moderate. I'm not crazy one way or the other. But what we did is we did depend less on the pilot, but then the commission didn't pay the reduced amount that we were paying.
When did we stop that?
Can I answer my question? I've got to answer my question.
Yeah, can I answer his question?
Answer his question, gentlemen. Okay. You're recognized.
They take the fixed asset inventory, what Mr. Allen was just saying, and they apply the millage rate against it as if it was a private company.
Okay.
And you get a tax rate like if you were a private company, and that's what they come up with, the pilot amount.
But TVA is the one who...
They assist with that, yes, sir.
That's right. And you got their letter. Now let's get the truth out there. I'm glad we brought this up. I was ready to go home. Ready to go home. Let's get that out there, and you didn't know this. When that calculation was made, it was made to calculate county taxes, school taxes, and city taxes, and the city kept all of it. City, county, schools. That calculation to get to 612, I'm sorry to bring this up, but that's the fact. No, sir. No, sir. Well, we can disagree with it. We can disagree. There's judges that can settle it.
That's in the state statute.
No, sir. No, sir. That's not in the state statute, but we can.
It is in the statute.
Okay. Well, we're happy to take it to TVA. You saw how they ruled today.
They've been approving it every year.
Okay.
Follow that.
Well, that's fine. They wrote you a letter. But if you think it's right to take money in the name of the county, in the name of public schools, and put it in the city treasury, that's how the calculation came about.
Well, the state statute says that goes to the city, and
what's the statute number, Tommy?
Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Give him the statute number,
Yes,
and
sir.
also the gentleman Jeff, his city of Amory, $785,000.
And they're 3 times bigger than we are.
No, they're not.
Yes,
Their
sir.
population is
I was born there.
6,600.
I was born.
You may, but you lost it. The population is 6,666 people. I know a little bit about that. 6,666. our population is 3,380. Now, if you do, and also they pay, after the pilot, they do contribute half of the mayor's salary. He makes 70,000 there for 6,666 people, and I'm offering to do it for $1, so we get a saving. Then, also, they pay half the city clerk. They also pay aldermen. They pay half the salaries of the aldermen and some others, and deputy clerks and all that. But the population is 6,666. I got a lot of good friends over there, and that is a good place. Gentlemen, look up the population figures. But the thing about it, that is their population, and if you cost it out per head, us and them, that'll be a pretty good estimation of the pilot of us. That's what I would like, you know, and that is not. Amory is good people. They're good, solid. They're an old railroad town, just like Water Valley.
What's their total KW?
I don't know what the total. Their total population though is. I don't know. But I'm telling you, that's what the.
And I apologize because I didn't really mean to get in all this dialogue.
No, but that's what
But at the end of the day, you asked for our help, and I can't help you if I don't know what you need.
Well, I'm glad.
And now that I know what you need, we can discuss it. Still might not be able to help you, but at least we can have an educated discussion about it.
Yes, sir. And
That's
that's
all.
part of it.
Thank you.
And we appreciate that. So, now, executive, and these are good things. Look, people can have spirited discussions, and that's part of government.
I agree.
Next, there is a desire to go into executive session. Is there a motion that there be a closed determination on executive session for personnel? All right, all in favor of the closed determination will say aye. All opposed? That's passed. And then is there a motion that the board resolve itself in executive session for the sole purpose of considering a personnel matter? There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?